of the wrist or whatever.
Flick of the wrist.
Time to mute Augie's stream, so I don't have to hear myself.
Time to mute my.
I love the
Autism.
shadow cam.
Thank you. Well, I say thank you because I set it up, but Shadow's the star.
Yes.
We all know.
Yeah,
God, I love
facts.
Shadow.
I
I
love
need him. I need
love
him squished.
I'll see about getting like a stuffed animal made of him
Yo,
as like
yeah.
a merch thing, so you guys can squish him.
I would keep him on my bed.
Bet.
And then we do
I would
this,
buy
and we do this.
Bet.
This.
Hold on, I gotta stop just. Bam. Oh, okay. So,
Use
hold on.
that.
Hold on. What? Wait, hold on. What? Oh, wait, you picked it up. I thought it got stuck on the door. What are you doing? You did it again!
Yeah, I did.
I was literally like, alcohol. In my brain, I was like, alcohol isn't as hard to drink as it seems like it would be. It's because I'm drinking a mixed drink and not drinking it like pure.
Are you trying to do what I
yeah.
did?
Yeah.
Here, I will show you my
I
secret.
like mixed drinks.
I know
don't
what
wanna
I
hear
know
your
what Augie
secrets.
does.
Yeah, yeah. Come over here. Come over here.
Augie goes like, bueno. What?
You like center yourself on
Oh, you
this
gotta do it
line,
over here.
and then
I keep trying to jump.
you walk along the side.
What?
Yep. And
What
then you
the
go very
frick?
careful around this corner,
I'm
and then you crouch, you turn, you look at the middle of the cornhole closest to us, and you go backwards until you can't go back anymore. And then
Whoops.
you walk along the railing.
Augie, it didn't work.
Worked just fine for me.
Oh! It's
I-
because there's a corner.
Oh, I did it!
Yeah! Alright, go around the corner. Oh!
Oh fuck! I glitched through the thing up there. I wanted to go on it.
All I did was turn off my fan, and now I'm sweating.
Probably because you're wearing a blah, blah, blah.
A baklava?
Hoodie.
Yeah.
Hey,
A
that one's
baklava.
ready up.
I'm wearing a piece of food.
I'm ready to.
A balaclava?
Baklava.
Shibeli, you
No,
clogged my
baklava.
clava.
Food.
Sounds worse.
Wait,
Hey,
there's
guys.
It's a
food?
dessert.
Wait,
No.
hey guys. Wait, I'm not the. Okay. I'm not the,
Okay. Every pony
Not the
ready?
imposter?
Nope.
Yeah,
Yes.
everyone's
Boom,
ready.
Not the imposter.
Wait, I can stand on the radio? Finally!
Oops. Oh wait, I did not do Among Us. I did La La Land.
Same thing.
Same thing.
I have a feeling I'm gonna be really giggly, because that's what happens when I get really tired.
Wait, did you
I
say
have a
you're gonna
feeling.
be really Italy?
I'm gonna be
Giggly.
little Italy.
I'm going to become Italy.
I don't know the Italy theme.
I think that's it. It's close enough. It's just Mexican with an accent.
Yeah.
Like not
Yeah.
an accent like with your voice, but like accent like the numeric or wait, no, the
Yeah.
alphabetic
The
thing.
numeric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just yeah. Guys, we've been sitting here for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We ain't
How
even
do you
in this
start the
game
game?
yet.
How do you start the
August.
I'm ready. No
August,
one else
can we
is
play
ready.
video game?
game? You're we're already not. You're the person.
It says I'm ready and you guys are unready.
Well, it
Nuh-uh.
says to me that everyone's ready.
Same. August, you're insane.
No.
If we don't,
True.
we don't start this game.
Now Levi's the only one
before
I'm
I
ready.
see- I'm ready.
I don't remember.
Okay,
There
we don't start
go.
this game before I see another person on Steam start playing.
Dude, we're a fucking train wreck. We don't even need to be inebriated to be this fucked up. I have 3 different drinks. I have a little bit of Coke left. I have a Mike's Hard Lemonade, and I have water. Because we have nothing to drink in this house. Other than water, so. Oh. Jesus.
Made it to 5 a.m.
Whoa!
Five Nights at Freddy's!
Mary Chrysler.
fudge sticks, parabolic microphone, photo. I got photos.
Bugabo.
Did someone just steal a flashlight from me? No, I got it. Just kidding. No, you wish.
Any ghosts here?
Hello?
Hey, man. The basement mold is getting to me again.
Oh god.
Ugh. I have a horrible cough from the basement mold. There's actually no mold apparently, and I'm literally just experiencing placebo effect. But I don't know.
Placenta effect?
Yeah.
I wish.
War?
I wish!
Yeah, apparently I'm experiencing a placebo effect because my brain is convinced there's mold down here. So I've developed a cough on accident. Or I just have the flu.
Either or. Cock!
Thanks. I love cock.
You're welcome. Ooh, who's that man? He's handsome. Looks kind of like Chris Pratt, actually.
Let me talk to him.
Oh, I haven't been paying attention to the tempo. Whoops.
Apple bottom jeans.
Boots with the fur. The whole club was looking at her. She hit the floor. Next thing you know. I love that no matter where I've gone, I just faintly hear 8 in my ear.
Turn around and give that big booty a slap. She hit the floor. Next thing you know, Shorty got low.
No bone yet?
Hey, that's not cool. I heard that too.
There's nothing. I can't find anything. That was the most terrifying sound I've ever heard in my life.
Okay.
I hear you. Yeah, I can. I'm so.
Wait, how? Oh well.
Yeah, I think it might be in this room or the hallway.
Hey, there you all are. I
Anyone
was in the
here?
basement.
Voodoo doll, it's Mr. Samson!
Samson!
Is this your doll?
And a bone.
Bonin.
It's a hand!
Boner.
Oh, I wanted it.
What'd
Guys,
you just call me?
What?
this may or may not be the room.
Okay.
Well, that's good, because there's a lot of weird stuff in it.
I say may or may not.
Okay,
That
where
makes
did where did the water go? Where's
It's not
this
in here.
water?
Neighboring bathroom?
Where's the water?
Nuh-uh.
Oh, not in here.
August is running?
What?
Oh, wait.
What about me?
I know.
Oh, I found it.
Guys, I think we
No.
help found the room. Hello?
Hello? Mr.
Are you
Wobamaso?
here? What room are you in?
Your mom.
Whoa!
I'm standing on
Can
your
you
bed.
talk
What are you
with
gonna do
us?
about it?
Yo,
I
August,
think
what
it
the
might
frick?
whisper in my ear.
Hello,
What
mama.
the
Let me
frick did
whisper
I just
in your
hear?
ear.
Someone closed something. Did you close
Here.
that?
Oh,
Or
there's a little
something
corner here.
closed?
No.
I can't fit!
Haha.
What the fuck?
It played with the door.
Yeah, I heard
You
that.
can play with me next.
Wait, what
It's my
door?
new
I
thing.
have the light thing.
I want to play dolls.
Wait,
Oh, the
Whoa.
fingering.
what?
finger thing.
What door?
Finger
August.
thing.
Augie?
Yeah.
This one.
Oh. That was August's name without any consonants.
Augie?
No. Right, okay. You ever consider how stupid I am?
Hey guys.
What are you talking about,
I
stupid?
absolutely hate the storm. I hate the storm, I must say. How much?
Was that a ghost event or a haunting or?
The door didn't
Ghost.
lock.
Where I am,
Okay.
where I am right here, it is freezing.
Brr.
Chilly.
Wow, I sure am cold standing in this one specific spot.
Is it this
Anyone
room?
got a sweater?
Wow.
No, not this
I sure
room.
could use
This room's in
something
the 60s.
snuggly.
It seems that it's just
I'll be
everywhere,
back.
always.
Wait.
Same.
Everywhere all at once. Everything everywhere.
Okay,
all
so
at
it's out here. It's this main area.
Okay. Enjoy my PB mic. I'm gonna go grab some shit.
Yeah, I'm closing. I'm looking on them. Okay, that's one of you humming. I got terrified and thought it was the ghost.
What's happening?
I heard one of you guys humming, and at first I thought it was the ghost.
Oh yeah, this room is a bit chilly.
Burr.
Brr. Are you here in this room?
Oh, the dogs have something to say about it.
Yeah, they do.
What is your name?
Did they tell us the name?
Are you with us?
Did we take note of the name?
I don't think so.
Nuh-uh.
Lucy Cotter, please communicate with us.
Those dots. She had dots.
Dots? Okay.
Monsieur Lucy.
So it's Yurei or Oni?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, yeah. What do we need for those?
When it started singing, did you guys see it? Like, physically?
Ghost
No, I was
orbs? I
hiding.
didn't see it. EMF or ghost orbs?
Yeah. Yuri's
Somewhere in
have a
their
stronger
I have
effect on
Imbuga.
people's sanity. So if our sanity's dropping real fast, then it's probably Yurei.
Wait, did someone close the closet door?
Yeah. This one? I did.
Oh, okay. I also thought I just saw a breath that wasn't any of ours, but
Oh
I don't know.
god.
What is it doing?
What?
Yo, mama.
Where? I keep hearing the door opening and closing sound.
Does someone have the EMF reader?
I do, I'm
No.
holding it right now.
Okay.
I
Oh, I
found the
hear it
door!
now. Oh, the door
This
doesn't
is what?
open?
Oh, also it cannot have thingies.
Bingies?
No.
On account of the fact if you...
Because
Press
it's either
check
Yurei or Oni and neither have fingies yet. Or EMF for, what was it, ghost orbs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, EMF or ghost orbs.
Oh!
it's just...
What?
I just saw a
TV?
thing run across the dots and it spooked me.
Oh,
T-
It was,
think she's ghosting on my orbs.
it was like a child ran right here toward the camera.
Oh.
that's terrifying. Yay.
Like, it was literally like camera height, I think.
Oh,
Oh, she's tiny.
Bestie.
girl,
Hello?
could you politely fucking not? Oh, it was this door. Or this one.
No EMF 5 yet?
I think... No, only 2.
Yeah!
Money.
Smudge that
I
fucker.
love money.
Hey,
So true.
hey, did you see, ghost orbs?
Oh!
No, I did not.
Yeah, but it could be another situation of where we only see ghost orbs later on.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna go.
I took the car key, I'm gonna drive
Hey,
away.
up. No, I'll krill you.
I didn't realize you guys were behind me. I was gonna
Yeah,
drive
but
away
you
and never
didn't.
look back.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Well, now you're in on my
Imp
secret.
and
Maybe all
orb.
3 of us could drive away and never look back. We'll just leave
Wow.
Levi.
That's so mean.
We'll come visit on the holidays. It's alright.
So scared.
Yeah, I'll bet. Oh, ghost
Alright, I'm
orb.
done, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done.
That was a ghost orb for sure.
You're right. Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. Gorb!
Y'all
You're
Gorb!
Ray!
a gorb? I just got back, don't
Yeah,
worry.
Gorb.
You left me up there by myself, and I almost
We
stuck it
didn't
out,
get the
and then
smudge stick.
We didn't?
We didn't get any of these.
No.
No one
What?
talked to me for 3 years.
Oh my god, I just saw it.
Oh,
I just saw
wait.
it. It's so creepy.
Guys.
It's so creepy. It's so creepy.
I literally
We
What,
need
want
the
to
person?
detect the sound with the PB mic. Let's
You
go.
do it. It's your favorite
I'll
thing
try
to
to
do.
get a picture of
Yeah,
it.
goodness.
Yeah, but the PB
Fine,
mic
I'll
is
say-
inside, and I'm also a little.
I'll stay out here and try to warn you
Wow.
guys if it gets to a 10.
Oh, fuck.
The area has been cleansed.
Thank God.
We're only having minor ghost activity right now. Herbalk mic is checked off.
Did I get a picture?
No.
Damn it. Are we gonna still try to get the picture?
Do you
Or
want
do you
to?
think?
How many more
I mean,
pictures do
that's
you
up
have?
to you. I have 3.
That's
I think.
kind of a
No,
badass
it's 2 now.
picture.
No?
What?
How many?
It might be only on my screen, but it's a person, but it's kind of blurry.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it moved this
It-
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That one looks
it
really
looks
cool.
pretty
tried to get-
cool.
I tried to get a picture right when the haunting started, but then
I'd say
Mhm.
if you've got like 3 photos, I think it's worth it
Hello,
to try
Emily.
again.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Should I go talk to the ghost about Molly some more?
Yeah. I think Molly. Yeah. Molly, what's go, Molly?
Okay.
Molly, what's up,
Come
bro?
on.
Yes, I can see.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
Not even.
Yeah.
I'm a little scared. Oh my gosh, wait, I think I just saw it run around while I did have
We got pissed at that shoe.
show us yourself for a hot sec. Just run across the dots for me for just a sec, please. Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it?
It's not checked off, but the photo says evidence of a physical form.
Stop opening doors.
That makes no sense. Evidence of a physical form, but ghost evidence is not checked off.
Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it?
No.
Okay, I'm out of pictures.
Back into the van, kitties.
I'm so upset. I tried twice, like, but
I
both
know.
times I
Literally
tried
one
right
of
after.
literally one of the photos says evidence of a physical
I
form,
think-
but it doesn't count it.
Yeah, that sucks. Maybe it has to be like.
The
It's
Probably
actual
during the
haunting.
hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Anyway,
Yeah,
let's
I'm
leave.
not doing
Have
that.
your A checked off.
Let's
Done.
leave.
It does a dance like
I almost
this.
didn't check
August-
it.
I don't know what Finn was about to tell me.
But that's being really generous to how busy my schedule is.
Whatever you were gonna say, Finn, I didn't hear it.
I think I was a liar when I said I haven't felt the effects of alcohol yet.
Yo. Candles.
Ugh.
I got cash money, baby.
$49 whole dollars.
Alright, what do we need?
Nothing really.
Yeah.
Yeah, we pretty much have everything still because none of us died.
Do we want candles?
Maybe just one in case we can't find a candle in the house.
Yeah.
Did I add it? Or
Yep,
is it?
yep, I see it.
Oh yes, I did it!
You did
So
it,
good at this
bestie!
game. You don't even know.
Levi.
You don't even know.
Levi,
Do we have-
Levi,
Yeah.
add,
Yeah.
choose your location.
We have 4 of the strong flashlights, 2 thermometers.
Super crazy arts. Oh.
We have an EMF. What are you doing?
I wish I could draw. I cannot draw.
Did the door pull up? I think the dog pulled up. I think the dog.
Dog.
You're
pull up
Yeah,
disturbing
sure, I
the
would like to
at
see.
peace.
the after party.
Oh, you did. He has disturbed
back.
shadow. This is awful.
Literally, Brandy was like trying to get out, knocking shit off of my bedside table, and then she just looked at me, and I look over, and Shadow's like, "What the fuck?"
Look at Shadow.
Hi, Bobby.
Shadow. Oh,
Shadow
you look
looks
He's
so
going somewhere.
silly.
He has
No
such
more
a
cat
boy
cam.
face. You're,
The cat.
he has such a boy face. It's so
Take a big boy.
silly.
I've got
I
him.
won't currently put my Discord
OMG.
out there. But after the stream,
He's just so
I can-
casual about you holding him.
Literally. Oh my gosh. Wait, look at his bottom foot.
Wait, I need to wait for the. Oh.
What a goober. That's a saddle.
Here,
Okay,
can I get you to chill in my
So
lap?
goofy.
Shadow.
You lay down.
He's so silly.
Thank you.
Oh, he's a baby. He's a little baby.
Okay,
He's
do you
now
have
in my
everything?
lap.
He's
So
such
we'll
a
see if he
guy
stays.
face.
He
He looks
does.
like he's gonna pay taxes. He looks like he should wear a suit. He looks like he needs one of them red ties.
One of them
So
red
true.
ties.
So true.
He looks like he may be a part of like the 50%.
I can't tell if he can hear you,
15%?
but both of his ears are back like he doesn't like it.
Good.
I don't think he's happy with the inferences you're making.
He is not happy that he is a man.
I'll steal
he
your
just has
mail
a
or
very elongated face.
Wait, I'm gonna learn
Yes.
to juggle.
Me earlier today,
Oh,
I
he's
started
outta here.
juggling in front of freshmen. And by juggling, I mean tossing up and 2 balls, and
Balls.
playing with balls.
Balls.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but I just got sugar into a wound.
I wanted to chuck it on him. A long abandoned farmhouse located in the middle of nowhere. Who knows what still lurks within? Honestly, as long as it's not haunted, I kind of want to have like a cabin or a farmhouse for my house. But at the same time, I like the industrial look of like a lot of apartments, you know, with the exposed brick and all that shit. It's good.
Stephen Birch.
Steven.
Steven!
What?
Yeah.
Guys, it has 2 of my favorite items on there.
Oh my gosh. EMF and parabolic mic. It's like this was built for you.
For real.
It's like it was built for me. It's what the fuck? What
You
the
see this
fuck?
door too? Guys, please tell me you. Okay, finally. Okay, thank God. No one else has been seeing those.
What the actual fuck?
Wait, the door?
The door.
Yeah.
Okay, we all saw that.
Open your
No one else has been seeing
I'm
them.
gonna run you your window.
Oh, they got
You
pickles on the.
dumb whore.
Oh, they got pickles.
Ooh, raid their pickle stash.
I
Mem.
will, bestie. I have a hand empty.
Hell yeah.
Guys,
Steven.
It looks like a foggy
see a
morning
fucked
outside.
ass door?
Huh?
Yeah, it's called my basement.
Hold my beer.
Wanna see a fucked ass door?
A
Yeah.
fucked
there
ass door.
Yeah. hold
A
on, hold
fucky
on.
wucky door.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
What
Where am I
Wait,
supposed
what?
to
What
be?
is this
Don't touch it! Don't touch it! Don't touch it! Don't touch it yet! Don't touch it yet!
Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna touch it. Jesus.
Augie!
What the fuck?
Oh wait, that's the bone. I found a bone.
Bone!
I hope this is. I hope that this is the room.
Yo, are you in this room?
It's warm in here, so if it's supposed to be freezing, it is
guys.
Yeah?
What's up, babe?
No, I'm delusional. Never mind. Don't mind me.
Okay.
Okay. Delulu.
Delulu.
Funny.
Finish the lyric. Hey,
Okay.
bitch, where you at?
I don't know where the fuck I'm at. I love that TikTok.
I love that song.
You get me.
So true. Where are we?
Where am I?
Where are you?
Who are these?
And
I'm so lonely. Sorry. I cannot.
Something I cannot dream.
Tonight. I need somebody and always. I don't know the rest of the words. Yo,
Did you hear that?
dude, I
Yeah.
just got in here.
Did he just scream at you for coming in here?
He
Yeah,
just told me
like-
kill, and I thought that
did
was a
he?
bit impolite.
That is a little
I just
bit
heard-
impolite.
Yo, yo,
Yo! I heard it again. I
man,
heard it again.
look. That's not nice.
Why is he
Yum?
Yum.
Why is he saying yum?
You were saying yum about a minor. Cut it out.
Nasty.
Dude, I'm like
You
17. Chill.
No, you're not.
What? Did you just burp?
You're a liar.
Did you guys hear that too? The ghost just.
No.
Oh my god, he is so active.
Are
Look at
you
the door.
okay with us being
Look
here?
at the door. Look at the door.
Wait!
The door.
Guys, the door's in the floor.
The
The door's in
You
the
want
floor.
us to
It
leave?
is
I love
not
that
in the
song.
floor for me.
Whoa.
Not this door,
made
you
us?
dumb
What
bitch.
door?
This.
Yeah, you
Here.
fucking know what.
How old are you?
Oh no, he's
Oh.
closing the door. He's closing the door.
The door schmooved. Look at it.
It schmooved. I watched it schmoove, and
It's
Are you
schmealed.
going to hurt us tonight?
Did you see any thingies?
No.
I got bones downstairs. Oh wait, you mean the other kind of thingies? Never mind.
Hey, you got a bowl?
Guys, we
Yeah.
got PB Mike.
That you hate us?
We got
Wait,
peeping
peeping-
Tom.
What does that mean?
Dude, hate
Parabolic
us?
Mike.
Oh.
I've been abbreviating it to PB Mike because parabolic is too long of a word.
Panorama.
Do you have the spirit box?
Are you okay with us being
I
here?
don't. It
'Cause-
does.
Oh, never mind. I thought that was. Never mind.
Are
We
you
have-
saying yum? Do you find me delicious?
No freezing temps in here. The lowest it's gotten is 39.
Is he speaking through the spirit box or just to
Yeah,
us?
through the spirit box.
Oh, it is. So we have spirit box. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Oh, guys, we have EMF.
5?
No, 2.
Oh.
Oh.
But we check it off in the book.
Wait a minute.
What?
What?
No. It you know, the detect, find evidence of the paranormal with an EMF reader.
Okay. So all we have to do is the smudge stick still, and we have to throw a camera
I
in
think
here.
I just saw him.
I'm gonna go
Slash.
get a camera.
Oh my god! I thought that you were the ghost burping at me. That scared the crap out of me.
Low key, me too.
Everyone.
If that's supposed to say something, it does not.
What?
The doormat.
The rug?
Yeah. 'cause
No,
they
it's
tend to
just
have
a
like writing, but it
doormat.
also looks dilapidated.
No, it's just a boring old doormat. Okay, I
You're
can
a
put away you.
Doormat.
I can grab dots, and then you grab. Yep.
Whee! Wait. Do you have space for a smudge stick?
No, but I
Yeah.
could put. We could.
Can one of you come out here and grab a smudge stick? Boom. Problem solved. And if they didn't hear me, I'll tell them in person. Sweet
He's ghosted me.
Virginia is calling.
Yeah, he's ghosting you. I'm a little heartbroken about
Calling
West
my
Virginia.
name out. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me
he
home.
likes. He seems to
Country
like
roads.
this
This area?
zone.
Okay.
So I'm gonna F. And I'm also gonna Did you do that? OMG. Balls.
Okay, I'm gonna go out to the van.
I'm not being left here because
Fuck away the door. We gotta close the door when we leave because the door is gonna be in the way of the camera.
Okay,
Oh, whoa.
What did you guys say?
What?
nothing. I put
Oh.
down dots.
Yeah, I put down the camera.
You got
Oh, okay, wait. Did you want the smudge stick still?
Yeah, we need the area smudged for the
Okay,
objective.
I don't.
No, it isn't
I-
it only when it's chasing someone.
It worked last time.
Oh.
I don't know if it was chasing when it happened, but it worked.
Oh, Gorbs! Ghost orbs!
Gorburbs! Okay, so it's a mirror or a yokai?
What do you mean it's a mirror yokai? It's mirror yokai or on Rio.
How do you have on Rio? We have Spirit Box and Ghost Orb, and I crossed off freezing temps because it hasn't dipped at all.
Girl, only you, babe. Only
Um, Suck my balls. Sorry.
Did
my
we have
demons.
Gorbs or something?
Yeah, Gorbs.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm gonna go in there with a smudge stick if someone wants to come.
Yokai,
I'm
we need
terrified.
dots. And then...
Oh, we got dots.
We got dots?
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
For real, for real?
Yeah, I saw it when I was in there.
Brandy, why are you back?
Wait, what do we? Wait, so what do we have? Dots? What?
Dots, Ghost Orb, and
Dots,
Spirit.
Gorb, and
Gorb,
blah, blah,
and-
blah.
So it's
Spirit
yokai.
box.
Okay, cool.
Okay, all we need is the smudge.
Let's go.
Unless it's gaslighting us and it's the mimic.
We found some remains.
We
Just
have
a
enough
piece of
smudge
wood.
sticks. Why don't two of us go in? Wait, two of us go in with smudge sticks so that we can get it to hunt us, and then we have twice the chance of getting it to work.
Okay.
Yeah,
see
but I'm
this?
a
I
little bitch
got
baby
smub.
consider.
That's why
Wait,
August and Levi are going.
Yeah, we're the
someone
strong
not a bitch
motherfuckers.
So true. Okay, you got a stick and a stick and a stick. Let's go.
You need the bubble bar.
I'm so scared.
Wait, are we
Oh, we're all going.
in?
Oh, you wouldn't come in when it was just us, but now you're coming in. Okay, I see how it is.
Is this the way back there? I
You
don't
know
remember.
what? Fuck you.
I think he's been throwing some stuff around because I don't remember that being there. Or that door being like that. Or
Oh yeah, that cock definitely was not there. I would have noticed.
That what was not there?
That cock.
What wasn't there?
Cock!
That.
Cock!
Okay, how do we? Oh my god!
What'd they say?
Like the squeezing, like the.
The fuck you say?
Sounds.
Oh my god, that scared the
What, the lighter?
Yeah. Don't do it until a hunt. Oh wait, never mind. I see you're doing just the lighter. Never mind. Wait, do these things run out of fuel or what? Like
I don't think so.
whatever. Okay, because I want to spam it.
Hey, what does it look like if I don't have my light? Oh wow, that gives 0 lighting. I'm sorry? So many things are going on. I can't hear any of what they're saying. And you sound far away.
Oh, like the I died far away?
Yeah.
Or no, the whatever. Why does it...
I hope that they fix that in the next update.
For real.
What is this?
How do we
Oh, it's
get
a
this?
heater.
It's like a heater.
Hey
How do-
bitches!
We can't hear you over the.
Yeah, I
walkie-talkie.
can't hear you.
We can
Levi.
hear you like switching it on, but we can't hear you talking.
Yeah.
No, but the ghost is a goopy eye run.
Yeah, that too. You should swear and say its name at it. More than likely, it'll get pissed.
What's his name?
Okay, what's its name? Yeah, what?
What's its name?
Is that supposed to be
Stephen Birch.
Stephen Birch?
Stephen Birch, you are the worst type of wood. Fuck you.
What? Oh!
Birchwood
Stephen
is banger.
Birch.
No, it's Dookie.
Stephen Bird?
Hey, fuck ass.
Stephen Bird.
Also, doesn't the yokai get pissed whenever someone just speaks?
I
Probably.
don't know.
Yeah, that's straight talking near a yokai will anger it.
Stephen Bird?
Stevie B.
Hey, Stevie B!
Stevie B. What is up, my brother?
That is
in
the
Christ?
whitest rap name I think I've ever heard.
Stevie B.
Yeah. This is my mattress. I'm not sharing.
What the fuck?
Sorry,
It's
you'll have to
so-
sleep on the floor.
Sharing a bed fix. You will have to share.
Okay, I'll share with you, bestie, but that's it.
I'm gonna die. About to die. About to die.
Hey, Shouty.
Levi's dead.
Um,
Both of our smudge sticks burned, but it didn't count it.
what the hell? Let's leave.
Yeah. You fully just walked through the door on my screen.
Nuh-uh.
Yaha. You can't tell me what I saw.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
My balls.
Nope.
I'll go get insurance.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, what? I saw an object being thrown and I don't know what it was, but I also might be hallucinating.
Ooh, it's hunting.
Uh-oh.
Oh shit! What's he got?
I think he's got like an axe or something.
He's holding it really low on the handle and very high up. I don't know if it's an axe. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not sold.
Okay, it's alive.
Yep. Hi, bestie.
Sup?
Welcome back. Alright, let's get the fuck out of
Hi,
here.
that was Squarey. Sorry, I had my mic muted so he wouldn't kill me dead.
I literally just hold my breath and cover my mouth.
That's fair. It's easier for me to mute my mic, otherwise I'll forget how to breathe.
Very fair.
Levi, better be in this car.
You better have a
or I'm
yo
turning
car.
around.
Bye
I'll
bye.
turn around on you.
We're leaving. The old fool is
Oh my
leaving.
God. That's what they said about.
Oh!
I think my question is, why are we better at this when we're high / drinking?
That's a good question. Hey, level 65. Let's go. One more level and I'm 66. The devil.
Let's go.
But
Okay. Watch what I do, guys.
I wanna
don't do the farmhouse. I hate farmhouse.
Who did that? Who did that?
You and August.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We would never.
I know exactly what I'm on about.
You're crazy.
I'm literally eating gummy worm.
I want a gummy worm.
I was crazy one.
Crazy. I was crazy once. They put me in a room. Rubber room.
Wubba woom.
Oh,
A rubber room with rash.
Wubba
A
woom.
rash baby. I can see.
no.
Oh, I need a tissue.
Yeah, you do.
It's not for the reasons you don't think.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Mmm.
Wow. I have so many bones.
I have hemorrhoids.
Actually, Megan, I can't sit anywhere.
I have
I have hemorrhoids. I'm ready.
I'm
Yo,
ready.
Which one?
All of them.
Trick
I'm
question.
ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Hey,
Sorry,
you
I
gotta
was
ready
blowing my
up.
nose.
Oh, Levi's dead body.
Yeah, I take a lot of corpse photos.
Corpse?
Choke me
Position?
like you choke me.
Choke me like you choked me when you choked me.
Choke me, choke me, choke me, choke me, choke me.
Oh, campsite. This outdoor retreat was evacuated due to some campfire stories coming to life. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, my nose itches. We're here.
With Grant Todd.
Grant Todd.
That's the what?
We gotta do a motion sensor.
Oh, I thought you said emotion sensor, and I was really confused.
That too.
I hope not.
This one's my car.
And 2 things related to the smudge stick. Great. Because we've already proven we suck at that. I've never been to this campsite. I might have lied. No, I've never been to this one.
Yes, you have. Don't lie.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
I have.
You haven't.
Yeah.
We have.
I don't think I've been to this one.
No, you have.
If I do, I don't remember it.
You have trust.
I don't believe you. I have no memories of this occurring.
That was so weird!
Are you okay? Guys, who wants Foods brand tomato soup? We also have beans.
Brains.
You can heat her up on the heater up. Oh my gosh,
Demon.
cornhole!
Yeah, I also have bones.
Put the corn in my hole. Wait, bones? Where?
Put a corn in my hole until I.
Until I cob.
Guys,
Give me
guys, we found some remains.
Where?
Oh, can I see?
Over here.
Over yonder.
Over here. Right
Oh my gosh,
here.
there's so many beans!
Got a camera.
He got a
Escape.
Polaroid picture. What kind of bone was
Like
it?
a pillow. Eek!
I don't remember.
What the fuck? I didn't get to pick it up. I didn't get to look at it. And now I don't even get to know what kind of bone it was.
Look at the truck.
Good.
You can look at the truck, because I don't
You can look at the dick.
Oh, I don't like that noise. That sounded a little like, you know. I just wasn't a fan of that in my ear. I am so scared.
It's okay, just stay with me, bestie. Oh, they have a little trash bin. I'm the trash man. What's that? Is that toothpaste? They got toothpaste and lotion. Knock knock. What are these?
Are you at the lake?
I'm gonna piss myself.
And I'm like, I'm drinking.
Wait, I found a cool reference, guys. Come to the lake.
Oh my gosh! I didn't know this area existed. I want to
Guys,
go in
there's
here.
a cool
Can I go
reference. No.
in here?
No, not yet. There's a cool reference I need to show you guys.
Okay.
Guys, cool horror movie reference. Cool
Let me see.
cool horror movie reference. That's the reference. Here at the back.
I'm coming.
Ah!
Cool!
You can't even grab it.
Aw.
So it's just part of the map.
Why can't I dive in? I know how to swim. I can spin. Is there a key to this place? Ghost activity. Hi, Finn. I ain't complaining. We just wanna be famous. So go ahead and say what you wanna say. You know it's like to be nameless. When I was younger, I would say, when I grow up, I wanna be famous, I wanna be a star, I wanna be in movies. When I grow up, I wanna see the world, drive nice cars, I wanna have groupies. Be on TV, people know me, be on magazines. Fresh and clean, number one.
Augie, do you know where ghost? What?
Where the ghost is? No.
Oh, fuck.
I would have said.
Yeah.
La la la. La 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 la.
Where are they?
They're at the lake still, I think.
What lake? What
Over
the fuck?
here.
Good.
This
What's
lake.
up? You find it?
No.
Is the ghost
They call
over
it the
here?
spirit of the cabin. No.
Is there
Oh
a
my
way to
God.
get in the cabin? Oh my
Yeah, we went
gosh,
in.
I want to go in.
Oh.
You're welcome.
I asked if there was a key and no one answered me, so I left.
Oh fuck! I found a music box.
Don't touch it.
Play for
Yeah,
You want a
Elise.
photo of it?
I want a photo.
Come here.
Where are you?
Oh my gosh.
It's out on the porch, wanker.
I am Rose. I want my Jack.
Hi.
Be my Jack. I'm Rose.
No,
Oh,
this
this
is a balcony.
Wait,
I'm
where's the music box?
Rose, and you're gonna be my Jack.
Oh
This
Jesus.
reminds me of the.
You're
the
gonna
French
die
flag.
valiantly
I'm
hanging
sorry,
off of my
that's
door.
You're going
Nuh-uh.
at 60 frames per second.
Let me out.
do, 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 do. I really don't know the words, and I also don't know the song. Thank you for letting me have my Jack moment, or my Rose moment. Bye, Jack.
Okay,
You're
but
dead
where's
now.
Where's the music
Rest
box?
in peace.
It's with me.
Oh. I wanted to take a picture of it.
I know. Come here.
Head to
Come with
Begscope.
me.
Okay. I don't remember who's who anymore.
You're black. And
I don't know about you.
make it play for
You gonna
Elise.
play it, August?
22.
Guys, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling the effects of
I'm
alcohol
feeling
right now.
22. I know, I'm
Someone take my Thabobic bird.
the bumper.
Yeah.
I got you.
Someone take it.
The
I'm a
bumper.
play.
I
What
took-
does
I
that
took
say?
it.
Adrift.
Are you
I don't
here
know
with
this song.
us?
Wait. You're gonna start a hunt, aren't you?
Yeah.
You beggar
You're
run.
gonna go find it then, right? Don't we have to go find where the hunt's happening? Is that how the game works? I actually don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, I can't hear the music anymore.
Here, I'll follow.
Oh my god. What? No.
Oh no! Ah! I killed my best friend! All because I wanted to listen to stupid little tunes. I'm sorry. Okay, so it's probably in this area, right? Say cheese, bestie.
Are you here with us?
Say pee pee poo poo poopy pee pee if you're here. Whoa! Did you throw that?
Oh, hi, Levi.
Hi, Levi. Oh, I'm dead. He's got like a whole ass scythe in his hand.
Oh my god.
Hi.
Convulsion. Hi.
That he's terrifying. He's got like a whole ass scythe in his hand.
He goes very fast.
Does he?
Yeah, like he works really fast and then he runs really fast. I feel like you should look for a ghost. Ah. I guess. I don't know.
I have a feeling they're back in the van.
I'm gonna go put down the crucifix so I can watch them burn it.
nothing? Jesus. Jesus. Okay.
I am pliers.
Jesus. Jesus. Do you like Jesus? I'm not, though.
Why
No,
are
I'm
they
not.
shouting?
Oh.
I tried to get their attention, but they were just shouting at each other.
Oof.
Yeah, I think Finn can't hear 8 for whatever reason, but I'm pretty sure it's Finn's problem because Finn is like minuscule as far as volume goes. Like I can barely hear them, but I can hear 8 perfectly clear.
Yeah, I can hear them fine normally, but then when they start doing the walkie-talkie, it like starts having feedback and like
Yep.
weird stuff.
There was a point when last round Finn was in the house or something, and I heard Finn because we were nearby each other, but I didn't hear him over the walkie.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, don't throw pliers at me. That's unsafe.
Level,
Don't throw tools at me. That's
Cinco.
unsafe. Yeah, would you correct? Okay, are we ready for
Oh
camera?
my gosh, we're like a whole handyman.
Yep, I got
Oh my god, Handy
But
Manny and
Jesus,
Throwing
can we
hammers at
help
me.
you? Do you have assistance needed?
no.
No, I just want to hurt you with my pliers.
No?
Shut the fuck up.
What?
Yeah.
What do you want, plier boy? I think you want nothing.
You would be correct. They better have gotten a photo of my body. Oh! You were terrifying!
That is...
You are pitch black, and I can barely see your light, but your hammer is clear as day. So, so you looked like him behind me. That was terrifying.
Worst day of my life,
Jesus
personally.
Christ, he's fucking speedy.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
He's also ugly as shit.
That's a look, alright. I'm getting Jesus.
I might get more drinks.
Oh. Okay, they got it.
I might get more drink after this game.
Gotcha. Well, you can go now if you want. You're just ghosting.
Oh yeah.
Where'd they go? Oh no!
Are we all dead?
We're all dead.
Oh my god, wait. Did we lose?
Yeah, I think so. Yep, there it is. Oh my gosh, I've never had that happen before. That's wild. Ugh, I took a band-aid off and now my thumb's all sticky from the adhesive. I cut the shit out of my thumb and then I cut it again. So my thumb's not having the best time right now.
Oh
Well, that was a bit dramatic.
Welp. Oops.
Whoopsies! Someone is in my way. I cannot see the screen. You're back in the way.
Good. Something's in the way. I don't know
Something's
the
in my
words. Actually,
love that show. So dance in my ass.
Skeet
Okay,
help.
I got some stuff. I bought what I could. I'll do it.
Thanks, Busty.
Plus salt.
Salt?
Assault
That
and battery.
mineral. No!
Wait. I wish there was a battery item. I'll just have to throw this UV at you. Assault and battery.
No! You would never.
Never.
But I would.
What else do we need? Something's in my ass.
I don't think we need
Seek
anything
help.
else unless we want a motion sensor.
True. What was the one we just went to? Because I hated that one.
The campsite? Yeah, I hated that one.
Yeah.
I think it was Maple Lodge.
Okay, let's never do that again. I was so lost.
Yeah. It's funny because it's not altogether that big of a place. Like, it's not as big as the prison or anything. But it still feels so spaced out that it's difficult to figure out where the fuck the ghost is. These flashlights have squiggly ends. And they're coming soon. I don't know what that means.
I think you do. What the f-
I want to know what these jars have. I scared myself.
With what?
Press space.
Whoa. No, I love doing that. Well, I don't love doing that, but I love doing that.
Guys, ready off.
Ready.
I can't wait until we
I
get these
hear from
lamps.
you,
I want these
Squilliam.
lamps. These lanterns.
DNI Squilliam.
William Fancy son.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Squilliam looking motherfucker.
Mother fancy sons.
Mother Fancy son.
Hey, you know who's not ready?
Your mom.
010111101.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
what I was gonna
I don't
say.
think they're loaded into the game.
Oh yeah, they're
Oh
floating.
wait, I was talking about you.
Am I not? I'm not.
Oh, I see what you are. I lied. Truthed.
Get truth.
Me when I see gay people, IDK.
I haven't seen one of those before.
I haven't either, honestly. I'm
Wait,
starting to not believe in them.
I didn't realize you could actually play Jenga with these.
Yeah. Do you
Oh,
think
frick,
August and I
frick.
were just role-playing when we were yelling at Just had some funny roleplay going on?
Yeah, I kinda did.
No, we were actually playing Jenga.
Jingo fat.
That's
No,
right.
it fell over.
I know.
I never expected this outcome.
I doubt that.
Guys,
Hold
you
on.
should check what my username is in my Discord.
Squilliam?
Wait, who did what now?
Is it Squilliam?
Wait.
Squilliam!
Wait. Who did what?
In the August Discord, August's name is now Squilliam Fancyson.
Who did that?
August!
Oh. Oh, I get it now.
They're literally Squilliam. SpongeBob roleplay, I call Patrick.
Oh my god, are we really doing this?
Accurate.
Oh. Oh my god.
Whoa.
Welcome back, sleepyhead.
I did not get more alcohol,
Good.
but I got more Fanta. And also a
Fanta?
burger.
Ooh,
A
Fanta.
burger?
I love burgers.
Mhm.
Almost as much as boogers.
What
Yeah,
the
you
fuck?
would. Nasty ass.
Alright, we ready?
Always. Sorry, I'm playing Minecraft.
What?
Sorry, I got bored halfway through our discussion and logged
Oh
on
my god,
Minecraft.
you would. You're so autism coded.
Thanks. I've never been diagnosed, but everyone thinks it.
You should look at
Oh,
the
that's funny.
Discord again.
I was watching a show, and the characters are one of the characters is a millennial. Wait, what are we laughing at?
Look at my Discord. Patrick
Wait,
is
no, I'm
typing.
Squidward.
Patrick is typing.
Did you just headcanon me as Squidward?
Ah! Sorry, I was met with some green orbs.
Why am I
Hold on.
plankton?
Yeah, wait, hold on. This is so backwards, bestie. Bestie.
Listen, I just paired us together as like best friends, even though they're nemesis.
I don't think. Yeah, exactly.
But I was
Yeah.
thinking of it like Moriarty, right? And then
Oh,
and then
sure you were.
and then
'cause you
Plankton
know how to
was
get
just
me.
because SpongeBob didn't feel fitting.
This is manipulation. This is 100% manipulation. If you bring Sherlock into any conversation, you know I'll agree with you. That's manipulation.
Tee.
Truly.
It's toxic.
It's canon.
Wow.
Squilliam Fancy
using
Sun says
autism
tee.
against me.
Well,
That's canon.
It's
That's
canon.
Ugh.
Logical event.
Wait, who's SpongeBob?
We don't have a SpongeBob. Who do we want to be SpongeBob?
Who's got main character energy?
I am the luckiest man alive.
I feel like I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think I've read SpongeBob X Squidward fanfic at one point.
Oh Jesus.
Bestie.
Mayhaps.
Is this an alluding to, or is this a you have and you don't want to admit it type scenario?
Then I don't really know. I don't remember.
Okay.
Are we readying up?
Yeah, we're going. Willow Street, a newly built home in an established area. Port State was built on top of something unearthly. Because it was terrestrial. Just kidding, that means it was earthly.
Hello, 25. Motion sensor. Parabolic microphone.
Y'all, this burger is so fucking good.
His
Oh.
Facts.
burger,
No
is that what you
printer.
said?
Yeah,
The
burger.
bird.
Okay. Let me out! Hurrah! Hello? Is anyone home? Hello?
Least favorite house.
Eduardo Garcia.
Excuse me, are you home?
Eddie boy.
Eduardo.
I'm opening your drawers.
What
I
are you
think-
panty rating?
Guys, I think the only thing keeping me sane is the fact that my meds are still in my system.
The meds are working overtime. Hello.
The meds are working to make me a functioning person. If once my meds run out, I think I will lose my mind.
Bestie, you want a bone?
Ah, yes, please.
I
You take a
found the
photo?
mirror.
Yeah, I got that blue.
Okay, it's mine. I'm not.
Now let's talk about the mirror.
Oh,
Where's the mirror?
Where is it? Okay, they're dead. Let's go.
hey, where's the fucking mirror?
Also, we're gonna talk about the fact that there's a goddamn book. No, sorry, I accidentally typed in the Minecraft.
We fall for that.
Same.
What? Did I just briefly see my breath or am I Delulu?
I might have seen mine as well.
Ooh,
I
guys,
forgot,
in the
to be
garage
honest.
storage.
Mirrors in the garage storage. Sorry, I accidentally told a group of people I was making out right now.
That makes so much sense.
That's very, very accurate to who he is.
I'm not making
No,
out
never
right
mind.
now.
I am Delulu.
No, we're definitely making out right now.
No, we're
We're
not.
just that good at it that we can do other things at the same time, like play an entire video game, be states away, and be able to talk. TV static. Oh, you hiding?
I took a picture of the mirror. Delulu. Hey, someone shut the gosh darn TV. Thank you.
We're wasting a baguette.
What room
Are you in this room?
I think he is, cause he just.
There's a
fucking-
picture on the floor. There's a cup on the floor. Man's fucking this place up.
You're in.
He said,
How
"I'll
old
take
are
this
you?
cup and I put it on the ground."
Love that song.
Wait, is he spirit boxing
you love
right
me?
now?
No. You would be able to hear it.
Forgiving to be porn print.
Spirit box right now.
Forgiving to be print.
Fingy pink.
Fingies? Oh, wait, is it a fingerprint? There's a fingerprint. I see
Yeah.
it.
They finger on my print.
Yeah.
Until I. Phasmophobia.
So true. I'm gonna phase your phobia,
Guys, what the fuck?
What?
Guys, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
but I'm feeling 22.
Everything will be alright if you keep me next to you.
Here, breathe.
I'm gonna get a camera. Whoa. Someone's hitting the Zaza a little bit too hard.
I'm not hitting any Zaw.
People who are alone.
I wish I was on the Zaw right now. That would be fun. I miss the Zaw.
Why? Where'd it go?
Don't
What?
have it.
I was telling Levi before the rest of you got in that I have to buy more gummies because I ate the last one for this.
Yummy.
Gummy.
I have to wait till I am of age to buy myself gummy.
A bitch.
How long you got?
Oh,
Oh, I just saw it run
a
across
year,
dots.
I think.
Did you really?
Did it?
Yeah.
Run again.
Do it again. Dun 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 dun
Do
dun.
little
Dun.
dance.
Do it again. Dun 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 dun.
Let
Dun.
us see you, Shoddy.
Go
Let us
shorty.
see you,
It's
baby
your birthday.
girl.
We gon' party like
We gon'
it's your
party like
birthday.
it's
Go
your
sip a
birthday.
party
We're
like
gonna
it's your
party
birthday.
like it's your
And you know we
birthday.
don't give a fuck 'cause it's your birthday.
It's your birthday.
Did it just moan in my ear?
No, that
Maybe.
I mean, I hope it was her. not
Oh,
one
it's
of
a
me.
photo of a cat on Christmas.
Guys, I don't know.
Yep.
Look, it's a photo of a
Guys,
cat on
this
Christmas.
Is not
Hey
epic.
guys.
This is
Sorry, I'm doing
not
the
poggers.
Guys,
Guys, how do I
I
get
don't know
onto the
about
couch?
you, but this is not epic.
You will sit.
This is not what I would call awesome sauce.
This is
Oh, I saw it run
Dog
too.
champ.
Did you? I
Yeah.
missed it that time.
There's a little girl. She went meow.
She went.
What's the-
Pew.
We have fingies and
Dots.
dots.
I'm gonna go to the. Hey, move my camera. I'm gonna move to the
Who the
truck
frick
so that I
just
can
did
see the
that?
camera. Who the frick frack paddywhack? Give a dog a bone. Move my camera. Oh wait, I didn't turn this off. Is this the song I think it is? Ooh. I'm gonna keep watching, but I think I might have just seen. I think I see them in the top, in the left. I think I'm seeing ghost orbs. Can someone come out here and verify? Oh, I'm out of my drink. Wah wah wah. It keeps showing up on the very, very left side over where I think Levi is. Like above their head.
Oh, yeah, that's a Gorb.
Okay. Confirmed Gorb.
Oh, so it's a bench?
Yeah, we haven't heard that bitch scream. I'ma make a bitch scream. I got a I don't remember the lyrics.
Oh, okay, I don't know how it works.
We need to detect a ghost presence with a motion sensor, detect a paranormal sound with a parabolic microphone, and get an
Okay.
average sanity below
Okay, start a
25%.
haunt.
The sanity's gonna suck because it doesn't drain it that fast.
Yeah. And I don't think it's one of the fast drainers either. I don't think Banshee does that.
Yeah.
Oh, they go in.
So they got motion sensor, and then they have the okay, yeah.
Did they get the
It's
motion
watched.
sensor? I didn't know if we had one.
Oh, I don't know. I just looked and saw there wasn't one on the wall, which made me assume that. Yeah.
Click, clack, click, clack, 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 clack.
Who set this camera up?
Not
There's a
me.
couch in the way.
Mine was in the corner, but then someone moved it.
There's a whole couch in my shot. I can't see. Oh,
This is how you know that they're not the film majors.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You need a degree.
Yeah. Get a degree. You think you know every fucking thing?
Wow.
I wanted to see why they were just sticking in the doorway.
Because they was scared.
You're a little spooked. Oh, wow. It's close. It's close to 25. It's at 35. Finn hasn't moved
Cool.
much, if at all.
Yeah.
We got the sound with the parabolic mic.
Yippee!
Ooh, 8 Sandy's dropping.
Really?
Yeah. Every time I... Oh, down to 14. Holy shit.
Oh.
Oh!
Ooh. Hunt.
Oh, yeah, I think 8 broke the fucking burger.
8 might fucking die.
Nah, I think 8's cool. I think 8's cooler than the ghost.
No. So true.
It's funny because you were both in there, but 8's sanity was dropping and yours wasn't moving an inch.
Oh yeah, that was because 8 had he was holding the mirror.
Doesn't say 8's dead yet. Just says 0 though.
I think they're good. The event's over.
Nice.
Catch my breath and hold. Yeah, I don't see the motion sensor on the map, and they would have put it down by now, so we must not have had it.
Gotcha.
Catch
Hi.
Finn,
I'm
I
in
hate to.
potty.
You know what? I was gonna say, Finn, I have to break it to you, but you're gonna have to be in there alone. But I'll take the hit and I'll go in.
What if I got silly and what
Don't
if we
come
went-
with me. I will be alone.
I will come in with you.
Okay. We'll see if we can drop our sanities.
Yeah.
I think turning on the lights gives a higher chance of the breaker blowing, which might help get the
Wow.
ghost.
Hey, Shouty.
It's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday. We gon' sip Bacardi like it's your birthday.
It's your birthday.
And you know
Isn't
we don't give a fuck 'cause
Bacardi,
it's your birthday.
Is Bacardi a type of drink or
Yeah, Bacardi's a drink.
I?
Oh, I didn't realize they had a fan in here, and I was like, why is it humming?
Wait.
Oh, damn.
What it?
The
what-
toy
what?
was moved. The toy was over here, now it's over here. Oh, there's the mirror.
Where's the?
The offending object. Oh, and this mug's been moved further.
What mug?
The mug over here, it's been moved
Oh.
further.
Yeah,
This mug.
started a hunt.
And I'ma put it on the ground. Oh, car key. I'm gonna drive away. Meow.
I'm holding the mirror.
Mirror. Mirror on the wall. Here we are
Here we
again.
are again.
To my rise and fall. You've been my only friend.
Hey.
You told me that they can understand the man I am. Edward Garcia, where are you?
Look.
Where are you? And I'm so sorry. Eddie boy.
Oh, I almost balanced it on the couch.
Our guest star for this evening. Edward. Eddie boy. Eddie, Edward
Look, wait.
Garcia. Oh! That was so well timed. No TV in this house.
You have to click the
We're abstaining from TV.
Guys, wait, come inside. I did a silly thing with the mirror. Yeah, we're watching you.
Wait, where is it? Wait, do you no, but do you see the mirror?
I watched you the whole time when you
What?
said I was
Oh, it
wrong.
knocked off another photo of a dog. It's a dog hater.
And a cat hater.
I like
All the
crouching and
moments
running. It makes me feel like a gremlin.
I don't know. What is
Suck
this?
Edward
balls,
Garcia.
Mr. Garrison.
Eduardo.
Am I August?
Huh?
Am I delusional or did this paint
No, it
photo
was already
move?
down.
No, that's been there.
Did it move over though? Because I thought it was like
There wa-
hanging here.
One of them's new.
I don't think so.
That's the
I
one
know
that was
this
there
one's new,
longer.
but I don't think this one's moved.
Or that one's been there for a while.
If you put it down right, like the way I want it, play your cards right, maybe we could fall in love.
It turned out the lights.
It's a rave. Who wants candy? Bracelets, not actual food, because I don't have that.
What?
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to dramatically slam the door, but it wasn't working.
Nah.
Occupado!
Nuh-uh.
Yaha.
Nuh-uh.
Yaha.
Nuh-uh.
Yaha. Oh my god.
Nuh-uh.
Levi! Levi! Okay,
What's
you're
up?
good. You're good. Okay.
I just dropped my.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Oh my god, the way we were both laughing and then screamed and then kept laughing.
Guys, what the fuck? We're not
You
down
have
that
to
much.
clip that. It was so good.
Oh my god. It's your birthday. And you know we don't give a fuck, it's your birthday.
Birthday!
So, for context, I looked over and I saw Levi with their head in the wall. And so I was like, Levi! Levi! And then the fucking ghost scared the shit out of both
Hold
of us.
up. Ghost pulled up like this and was like,
Like Perry the Platypus.
I can't do that. I can't roll my tongue like that.
It's so weird.
Balls, penis, fuck, shit, fuck you.
Edward
Eduardo.
Garcia, you have a little pee-pee.
Whoa.
how would you like to suck my balls?
I love
Suck
I love
a
that quote so
cock.
much.
I love
How would
South
you
Park.
like to suck my balls, Mr. Garrison?
I love South Park.
Why was that actually pretty good?
I saw it running.
I love South
Oh wait, was
Park.
it? I've only ever seen like a few episodes.
Ah, another
Yeah.
painting!
Ah!
Some, like interior decorating. Oh, that's true. Oh, wow, yeah.
Wait, what happened to the drink? I fixed it.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
Whoa! Whoa! Stop yanking my knob like that.
You're what?
You're
Okay.
fucking hot?
My knob!
Wait, are you actually doing that? Or is it
I'm not
ghost?
doing the bottom one. That's,
Oh.
that's
It
8.
is.
Oh my god.
Hey, shawty. Like a melody in my head.
But I can't keep out, got me singing like. Every time I start singing, I bite my cheek and it
every day.
hurts.
Stop doing that then.
I'm trying not to.
Fuck you, Edward Garcia.
Fuck you
Edward
and you
Garcia.
and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too. I'm through. I'm through. I'm through. This is a hardcore bummer anthem. Turn it up and throw a tantrum. This is that
Wait,
social
what is-
awkward
what is-
suicide that buy your lips and buy your likes. Okay.
Edward.
Give me a.
Edward, you've got to come here.
Edward.
Oh, this photo's
Yeah,
down
but
as
the
well. This is a bit of a pickle.
Oh, wait.
Edward.
What the fuck are you doing, you bitch?
What the fuck, Richard?
What the fuck are you doing?
then you
Top
say,
10 reasons
"Steve."
you're a fucking
Guys! This
What?
ghost
Be
hates
skedaddle.
interior decoration.
Oh yeah.
Top 10 reasons I hate interior decorating. Number 1, my walls.
I take
need
this
to be
photo of a
white
cat that
AF,
kind of
so
looks
when
like
I run
Shadow,
my head
and I
into
throw
them,
it
they
on the
don't
ground.
And I'll throw it on the ground.
Number
Do
15,
you still- do you still-
Australia.
Do you still have
Do you know the muffin man?
shadow lap?
Whoa, it's running
No, he's
for-
not in my lap. He left.
Well, man, don't run
What?
like that.
Coffee.
Wolf Gilly.
Balls!
Penis.
Enlargement
Oh,
pills.
It threw
Wow,
a picture
I'm so
at
scared.
the cross.
This is so
Teacup.
scary. This is scary. I'm scared. Fear. Scared. 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 Fear. Fear.
nervous.
Ah.
Scared.
Scary.
Scared. Scared.
Scary.
Fear. Fear. Fear.
Whoa.
Oh,
Huh.
it doesn't have a physical form.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. Well, he's married to the Muffin Man. Oh my gosh. We're so close. 2 of us are in the 30s, and I think, whoa. Whoa! He's an old
Hey,
man!
Ew. You're kind of ugly.
Get your leg out of the radiator.
You're ugly. Plus
You
ratio.
look stinky.
Yo,
I-
do the stanky leg.
Do the stanky leg. Do the stanky
Wow.
leg.
Show
Guys.
yourself. Give us a sign. I'm scared.
Yeah.
This is
Is it
scary.
over? Oh my god, I can't believe I survived that.
Don't worry, it wasn't a hunt. It was just an event.
It was a scary
As I
one.
was saying, we're getting
Yeah.
close to 25%. I think 2 of us are in the 30s, and I think Finn is a little bit lower.
I am in the 30s, how'd you know?
Wow,
What is it doing?
scary.
Did you just see
Wow,
it?
that's
It's running
scary.
things.
I'm so scared. Wow, this is a bit scary.
I'm gonna set
hope
up
the
a
ghost
tea
shows
party.
I would love to see the ghost. Ghost, can you give us a sign? Show that you're here.
Edward.
It was.
What is your age? Are you young? Are you how are you?
Tea party!
So I think we're under 25 now.
Let's go look.
We are.
Oh my god, we made it! We did it, guys!
Does anyone have a camera for Levi insurance?
I think Levi had the camera for Levi insurance. Levi, I get your photo! I don't remember the Spanish word for photo. Oh, there it is. Say cheese. Your neck's broken. I got it.
Oh, thank God. Just
Okay,
in time.
bye.
Got Levi insurance?
Yeah, I did. Let's get out of
Good,
here.
good, good. Let's leave.
My nose itches.
What? Man, she's selected. Yup.
Yo.
Yo.
Welcome back.
Yo.
Jobs for you.
What they said, I think.
Period. We should get a motion sensor if we can. That's been one of the tasks.
Yeah.
I have money.
Yeah, me
Wow.
too.
I won't touch it.
We have one.
We need 2
Yay.
strong flashlights.
I got him.
Okay. Ain't no river
Thanks, Levi.
wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far.
What happened to the everything? Guys?
Levi's death, maybe?
Ain't no mountain high enough.
I got head mounts, head cameras.
Hot,
I mean,
thank you.
whatever.
I'm gonna get a lighter and another smudge.
I'm gonna buy that sandy pillows. That's the wrong one. I'm gonna buy salt.
I'm about a sassafras.
I agree.
I'm gonna get us another
Wholeheartedly.
camera, photo camera.
Good idea.
Thank you. I'm full of them.
So glad, so glad.
What's? Oh, sound sensor. Do we want the sound sensor?
Got us a candle.
Sure, I think it would be silly.
Okay. Oh, it's $80.
I love silly.
I don't have that.
You're being silly.
You're being a little silly goofy.
Now, what are you quoting? Because that's not what I was quoting.
I wasn't quoting anyone.
Oh. I was quoting a good show.
I'm gonna get another Mike's Final
You're being silly.
Wait,
Oh no, is that gonna become a tick?
This is a cat position? No. Excavation?
Expedition.
Oh, my stretchy boy.
Whoa, what is happening
Stretchy
here?
little boy.
Um,
Stretchy little guy.
am I supposed to see this?
I love him in a way that nobody else does.
Stretchy little guy.
Aw,
Stretchy
thank
little
you.
guy on cam.
Mwah.
Got a stretchy little
Who are
guy
we
on camera.
My cat.
That's a stretchy little
And
guy
why
on
aren't you guys
camera.
ready?
It's a stretchy little guy.
I'm ready.
Alright.
Tee-hee.
Ready up, cause
I'm sorry.
Say
That's awkward.
You want to chill on my lap for a little bit?
Smudge stick.
Lay down, Bob.
25% and smudge stick. Lovely.
Lay down, please.
Mark Douglas responds to everyone.
Lay down, please.
No.
Yes.
What if I do this?
what if I sucked your balls?
Well, he
I wish
doesn't
you
have
would.
balls.
Who? Mark Douglas.
Mark Dougie. Dougie! Teach me how to Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie. Oh, I didn't grab one of my things.
My flashlight is okay, we're good.
Oh, someone took it. Sad. I'm sad. Who took my therbobiger?
Me. We can do about it.
I'm gonna cry. To the tune of this.
Are you? Sound like Colleen Berenger. Frick.
Ballinger.
Ballinger. Barrington.
What? Sorry for a moment.
Are you here?
I'm here.
Are you here?
Do we find a bone yet?
Just kidding. I don't know.
Don't. Please,
Any-
actually.
Do we find a bone yet?
Doesn't matter, actually.
Guys,
What?
do we find a
What?
bone yet?
No.
No. On this way yet?
Bone.
Bone!
Where?
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 Second floor, bathroom, or bedroom.
Bone!
How'd you have to get up there?
Are you in the ring with us? No.
No.
Ah.
Bonage.
Bone!
Got that shoulder.
Wait, hold on, I got lost.
Oh.
Oh, there you are. Oh my god, that's a huge bone.
That's a leg for
That's what she
sure.
I think that's an elbow, boss.
No,
Third
that's
leg.
a fucking leg, bro. Talk about the boner.
Haha.
Thank you for laughing
Whoa.
sympathetically.
Sorry, I'm playing with the ball.
Playing with your balls.
haven't gotten temps anywhere though.
I haven't gotten TV anyway.
Is that the TV, a box, or running water?
It's running water.
Dirty water? Dirty water! Levi, we need you. It threw the toothpaste. God, you're gonna overflow the sink. God, we have dirty water.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Gonna take a sip?
Look, it threw this toothpaste.
Who the?
Oh!
5?
And a 5!
Oh.
It's probably in here.
Probably. It definitely is. Look at this.
Probably.
Probably.
I'm gonna turn
What the-
off the light
what
for a
the-
second.
That's just me.
Oh my gosh, that's scary.
Shadow, your breath is a little stinky.
Cats' breaths generally are smelly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Oh wait, I don't know if I checked the toothpaste. Nope, that's not toothpaste.
Oh good.
I'm gonna go get a camera.
I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna go not be here.
Abagaha.
No time.
Shut the fuck.
Asher!
Um,
Who didn't take their strong flashlight?
Your mom.
I'm gonna cry.
Oop. That's not the right button.
Gadops.
Why would you leave me in here?
Hello.
You little bitch.
Yeah.
You were a
Wait, yeah.
sacrificing.
My glitch.
Wait, what else can we do? Wait, do we have Ghost Book? Oh, 8's AFK.
We don't have the ghost book. Does 8 have? Oh, here it is. I got it.
What?
The ghost book.
8?
There we go. I'm gonna go get the UV again.
Okay.
I ain't got no time for play. What is this?
My game is glitching a little bit.
That ball is dangerously close to the road.
No.
Yaha, don't tell me my ball is not close to the road. It's close.
Ghost riding. Yippee.
Spirit Shade or Myling?
Okay, what do we just have ghost riding? Wait,
No,
what do we
EMF
have?
5.
Oh shit, okay.
Let's see. Spirit. Shade. Myling. Okay, so Myling is fingerprints. Shade is freezing temps, which I don't think is gonna be it. And then, do you have the spirit box?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
You want it? Or
Yeah, I'll
I
take it.
threw it on the floor.
And I threw it on the ground.
Smiling.
I'm back. I have a spirit
Welcome back,
box
bestie.
and UV.
Oh, perfect. We need that.
Don't
Oh
shine
yeah,
your-
it wrote.
Yeah, we heard you.
Awesome.
Handprint.
That's a
what?
handprint?
That's
Where?
it's a Miley.
Back up. Back up. Whoa, wait, right there. Right there.
Yeah. We got handprints.
It's my gang.
Big bing. Bing bang. Do you think I can leave without them? Do you think I can get in the van and leave without them?
Don't you dare! I heard that!
No. We still need to get the... It has been cleansed. We still need the repel the ghost. And we need average sanity. So we still need to repel the ghost and we need
Shucks.
average sanity again.
Shucks.
Gee willikers, Batman.
Jeez.
Okay.
What's he
Oh,
doing?
big stretch. Oh! He did a stretch toward the camera.
He did a big stretch. Ow.
Big
That was
stretch.
so good, Bob. That's the biggest stretch you've ever done. I know you want to run
You
away because I
small
was holding you for a
stretch, yeah.
long time, but you can lay down, please. Thank you. Okay, Finn,
Yep.
do you wanna go in with me to try to drop our sanity?
Hell yeah.
I'll go.
Okay. Aw, do you
Angel.
love the microphone?
I don't.
Yeah. Hey, Shouty, it's your birthday.
Fear,
Go party
scary,
like it's
scared, terrified, and you know we don't give a fuck because it's your birthday. And we close the door. Just
Oh,
'cause
this
it's a
is so
cramped room.
scary. Wow, I'm so scared.
When were you born? What is your age? How are you young? Are you old? How young are you?
Those are spirit
old are
box
you?
questions.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Scary,
Suck my balls.
scary,
This is so
scared.
scary.
So
I hope-
scary.
I wonder if we'll see the ghost.
No, these are
Wow.
general trigger words.
You open
Wow.
the door.
I wonder if the ghost will show
I
itself.
just saw your butt.
I'm so
Are you
scared.
angry?
I
I'm
wonder
scared.
if it'll give us
Are you
a
angry?
sign.
Should we leave? Do you want us to leave? What is your location?
We sound like a
I
bunch
wonder
of
if it'll give
a
us
bunch of
sign.
NPCs right now.
Wow. I'm so scared.
What do you want?
This is so
Where-
scary.
What do you want?
Scary. I'm
Why are you
scared. You're
here?
scaring me.
Do
Are
you
you
wanna
see the
hurt us?
ghost?
Are you angry? Give us a sign. Show yourself.
Hide.
yourself,
Hiding. I'm
coward.
gonna
Show
hide.
yourself.
Scary.
What is your location?
Oh, I'm so scared. Wow.
What should we
This
do?
is scary.
What are you?
I'm scared.
Can you talk?
Ooh, it just
Speak to
threw,
us.
it just threw something at you. It
Oh, I
just
thought
threw
you were about to say
something
just
at you.
tooted. I was like, how did the ghost do that?
Are you with us?
Wow,
Anybody
this
with
is
us?
So scary.
Is
I'm so
anybody here?
scared.
Anybody in
Wow.
the room?
Wow.
Is there a
Wow.
ghost here?
Wow.
Hey.
Are you a girl?
Demon.
Where's the ghost? Do you think we'll see the ghost? I'm scared. This is scary.
Yahoo!
Stop that.
Stop it.
Get some help. I'm gonna go check our CBDB. Just to see where
Okay.
we are. I don't think we got it, but I just want to see.
Right?
Reiki. Oh, there goes Shadow.
Oh my god.
You know you can plug in the toilet? No.
Hello, Bob. You going? I'm gonna see if I can get him to sit in his little bin. Handsome. Let's go lay in your bin.
Wow, I'm so scared. This is so scary. Wow. Wow,
It's really
I'm so
hard
scared.
to pretend to be scared when you're flushing the fucking toilet.
Yeah, be scared, wow, this is so scary. I'm scared. I hope the ghost doesn't show itself. I hope I don't see a ghost. Ghost, sight, scary, scared.
Fuck, shit, piss, bitch, pussy.
Fuck. Whoa.
Ass, motherfucker.
I'm so scared. Wow, wow.
Did you see that door glitch close?
That was me. Yeah, I'm doing it. Sorry, guys.
Why are you ill?
The cat cam has been turned back on and updated.
What?
Ooh, we're both okay, so 50s, 60s, 60s, 40s. Can we go back inside? I'm back. Okay, so
Oh, Fast, I'm so glad you're back.
I turned the cat cam back on, but I also moved it. So now you can see my dog and my cat and my bed. And also the lowest we've got right now I think is 40s maybe? Two of us are at 60.
They
I know that.
suspicious on my sand.
Fuck, shit, piss, bitch, pussy, ass.
Hey, Ghost, how do you feel about this?
That's also how I feel, to be honest.
No! I'm the one that died!
Oh.
You guys trapped me in the door. I couldn't leave.
Anyways.
What the fuck?
Oh my. Oh! That's sick! That's sick and twisted, Matt!
Oh, we're out of photos. Shit, I gotta go get the other camera.
Mark Douglas. My goodness.
My string of swear words worked.
It
Who
did.
knew? I wonder if that dropped our sanity.
Yeah, 30s, 16. Around 16.
No, I'm built better.
You're built for this sort of work.
Yeah, I just went fuck, shit, bitch, pussy, ass.
Come on. Oh, we got the average sanity, so we just have to do the smudge. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got a smug. I don't have a lighter though.
Wait.
Do you...
Oh yeah, it is. I don't have a lighter.
Shit, we have to have a lighter inside.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, balls.
Okay, don't sing like that. That's terrifying. Don't follow me and keep your light on. Turn your light off.
We're go.
Yummy.
August, whenever I see your cat, I want.
I'm bolting it. We already have 25.
I know.
Yeah.
We have to get the last smudge stick if you didn't.
Or, okay.
Okay, I got the
Does,
photo.
do they have the
Shit. Hey, do you have the lighter?
Yeah. Ass awkward.
Augie?
Hello. Get your ass in here and give us that.
I ain't going in, fuck that.
Come on. We need the lighter.
Down here then.
No, you come up here. You left with it.
Give me it. Give me it. Give me it. Give me it. I'm gonna go give.
Ew, that's gross.
I have it.
They better take a photo of my body. Hi, bestie.
Hey, bestie. What happened?
We were gonna do the last smudge stick thing,
Hey, man.
and literally right as Finn came in and was like, I have the lighter.
Ready to
It
leave?
was like,
then?
I'm gonna murder you. Did they get a photo of my body? They better have gotten a photo of my
Yeah.
body.
Well, what the fuck?
I think they're trolling us. They're doing the thing where they throw it straight up and catch it.
I
I
will
love
burn
doing
your
this.
clipboard.
It's so funny.
Good. Good.
Oh, I can't keep throwing it while we're leaving. They better have gotten a photo of my body. I want the cash money. Shut up. Why are you standing there? Okay. Well, it's called the cat cam, not the dog cam, so I'm gonna turn that off in a second.
Welcome back.
That's not bad.
Job's ready for you.
I'm so sad.
Thank you for taking a
There's-
photo of my body.
Heck yeah. I love insurance.
Level 66! Ah!
666.
Wait, are any of these? I have to go to guys. We have to go to 6 Tanglewood Drive so I can complete the 666.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, they're level 66. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a PV mic now.
Peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
Jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly and a big ball back. Okay, I got us another smudge stick. I got us a lighter. I got us another parabolic microphone. I think we're good to go.
We're good to go. Already.
Where it all began, our first reports of the paranormal came from here. It's only small, but it holds more secrets than meets the eye.
Na 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 na.
Looks like it's gonna be an upright.
A big
John
one.
West.
John West.
Johnny
We
West.
got EMF. It's your two favorites.
Oh my god! Sorry, my demons.
Welcome. I will. Karki. Bone? Oh my bone! 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 Bone!
Baron. 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 Move your Wait.
Move your ass. That's the theater kid in you.
Yeah. It's the queer nerd. Okay, yeah,
Nancy. I thought this was John.
Johnny West.
Johnny.
He's got main character.
Oh my gosh, he's what? Is that the mirror?
Yeah.
No, he's SpongeBob.
He's white. What did you say?
It's one letter off from being Johnny Test.
Oh my god, Johnny Test, the guy who was voiced by James Arnold Taylor.
And had a dog as a best friend. And the dog could walk on 2 feet. And
I'm
the
so
dog could
lost,
talk.
guys. Oh my god, I found you
Guys,
guys.
he's a basementer.
Oh.
Is he actually?
Yeah,
Are you being
Oof.
fucking for real?
I think
That
so.
sounds really scary.
It's that or it's the garage, but I'm pretty sure it's the basement.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's the basement.
Ba-dum bum ba-dum. Bubble yum bum. Ba-dum bum ba-dum. What is making that noise?
This rocking chair.
Ew! Take a photo of the offender.
Wait, what photo?
The
What?
rocking chair.
Why?
Because it was moving. that's a good place to put the book. I like that. I like it, Picasso.
I like it Picasso.
I like your cut,
The
G.
Vinky?
I like it cut, G. I've put the EMF reader on top of the rocking chair.
It was a bestie.
So if the
It
rocking
was a
chair
bestie.
starts moving again,
We'll know. I gotta go get the
How's
camera.
that?
How do I get out of here? Oh, this way. Hello.
Hi.
Bye bye. My knee itches.
It said attack.
Ow, ow. Ow, ow. Did you get a photo of the print in
What's
the
really
salt?
We got spirit box.
Did you get the photo of the print in the salt?
Oh hey. Yeah.
oh, it's raining.
What does it say? Oh, it's scribbled. You're not a very good
Oh.
drawer.
Hey,
What?
be polite.
No.
Wait, look at the chair with your EV.
With your
Good
UV.
idea.
Nothing.
No,
Ow.
my camera.
False. This is why you put the camera on first before.
I was doing fine, okay? I just couldn't pick it back up.
Realistically, you should have put it closer to the.
I'm alive.
I'm terrified.
I saw him.
It was like on the dots.
Did it do the dots thing though?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Let's see. We're down to Spirit, Poltergeist, Mare, Maroi, and Diogen. Spirit, we would need EMF level.
Ooh, I just saw it run.
Dots? It's a Diogen!
It's a Dio.
We out.
Oh my gosh, it's Demi Lovato.
No, it's Dio.
It's a Demi Lovato.
It's a Dio.
Ay, Dios mío. Raw. Hi. Hello.
Escape a ghost during a hunt, and then I don't want to do that. Wow! I just saw it run. That was so.
It's a Dio. Alright, do we want to try the ghost hunting or do we want to leave?
I'm good with leaving. We got 2 out of 3.
It's a Leopterodon, Shirley. A Leopterodon. It's gonna show us the way.
A magical Leopterodon.
Let's go show
Go.
us the way.
Let's
Go to Candy
get out of
Mountain.
here.
Magic.
Oh, ladybug. Hello, little ladybug. Now, come here. Come here.
Come here.
No, come here.
Welcome back.
Hug.
What do I do with him?
Guys, I haven't felt fear in a while.
Yeah.
Look at the ladybug.
But I think that might be the alcohol talking.
Ladybug.
Yeah.
It's ladybug.
I see the ladybug.
He's orange.
Kill it. Kill it.
No.
Kill it.
No.
Kill it dead.
No.
No, those ones are. They bite.
He's not
They're,
biting me. He
they're not
likes me.
ladybugs. Those are Japanese lady beetles, and they're invasive, and they do the same things as they.
You sound a
they do
little
the same things as
racist.
ladybugs.
I hate.
No.
I hate those.
I hate
so much.
racists.
Remember?
No.
Remember August when I was saying that ladybugs infested my house? Those were what they were. The Japanese lady beetles or whatever H just said or whatever.
Yeah, they're Japanese lady beetles, which were introduced to our ecosystem many years ago in
Big
attempts
venom.
to get rid of things that ladybugs also fought off, but it didn't work, and the lady beetles killed the ladybugs, and now ladybugs are actually endangered species here in
He's tickling me.
the US. I hope he bites you.
Yeah, kill him. I hate them. Or that's one of them.
I flicked him off and he flipped.
We got everything.
He's on his back freaking out. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to prolong this. I'm gonna kill you with a bottle.
Deserved.
Guys, I don't know about you.
Thanks.
I think I just got a Bacardi ad.
I put a bottle on him.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22.
I put a
I got
bottle
it.
All I
on him
need
and
is
I called
some-
him Mr. Baba.
Truly.
How?
I just got an ad for Bacardi. The drink. Okay, I'll pull up. How about at the after party? You and all your friends and the little Bacardi.
Anyway, do I take it back in a Rari?
Facts. No printer.
A fax machine.
Oh my god. Be
Eat,
back.
ready up.
Oh, my B. Sorry, I'm playing Minecraft again.
More
What
like
the
giddy
fuck?
up. Meh.
Why did I think
I haven't seen the meow meow in so long.
He was standing in the doorway for the longest time,
Why? I'm
and
not ready.
then he left.
Why did he leave? Hey, ready up.
What am I
Oh.
hearing right
Am
now?
I on ready? My B.
Stop playing Minecraft.
Let's go.
It's really important though.
No.
Oh, I was hearing a fucking rhythmic thumping. I was like, what the fuck is that? It's my dog downstairs,
Oh,
itching herself and kicking the wall.
that makes sense.
Uggy.
What?
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yoggers.
Woo-woo! I'm gonna check and see if Shadow's in the little cat cam box. Cause if he is, then I'm gonna move the cat cam back. But I don't think he is. Yeah, he left. Hi, Brandy. Hi, baby girl.
Witness a ghost defense. Everyone
Guys,
Tim Martinez.
Whoever was here must have summoned the ghost with a cursed object. Investigate it. But be careful. We don't know what it's capable of.
Tim Martinez.
Tim Martinez.
Timmy Tim Tim. Tim Tam. Timmy.
Timmy. Timmy. Timmy Turner.
That was actually pretty good.
Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah.
Jawbone!
Oh! Clean scavengers! I forgot the words. Giant cake,
Giant
birthday
Giant snake, birthday cake. Ah,
We have the monkey's
Giant
paw.
snake, birthday cake, large fries, chocolate shake. Where the monkey qua?
In here.
What?
Monkey paw. Take a photo.
What?
It does not look like you were
Guys.
taking a photo of it at all.
My brain function is slowing down. Ah!
Ooh.
I'm quirked up. I'm quirked up. A white boy.
You are so true.
I'm gonna. How easily do you think I could earn balls?
Monkey
Balls?
paw. Monkey paw. Yippee.
Yippee. Hello? Hello?
There's some PB behavior. Oh, ah! I'll cry.
Anything?
No.
Nuh-uh.
This is a nice bedroom.
Hello, Tim Martinez? Whatever your name was?
Timmy Tim Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Tim Tam the big man.
Tim Martinez.
Tim the tool man
He's not
Taylor.
telling me anything.
Tim Martinez.
Marching band. Marching band.
Tim Marching Band.
Guys, I'm telling him to tell me all his secrets, and he's not doing that.
Oh,
That's impolite.
why not?
I don't know.
Timmy Tam the Tin Man.
Timster.
Timmy boy.
He's being a meanie.
Whoa.
What?
I don't think it's freezing.
Yeah?
You okay?
Well,
That sounded like a turtle sneeze.
I'm trying to make him whisper in my earsies, but he's not doing it.
whisper, whisper.
I'm going,
Tell
hey
us
little
what
mama, let me
what
please
you-
whisper in my ear. And he's saying no. Which frankly, I think is rude.
I'm going to the bathroom. I'll
Never
be right
mind,
back.
he's whispered in my ears.
Wait, no ear up on you.
Yeah? Put on your...
He has in fact whispered in my ears, and I think he's in the
Hello?
kitchen.
Hello, Tim Martinez.
Timmy Wimmy.
Timmy Martinez. If you're here, say something.
He's either in the kitchen or this room, and I don't know which.
Tim, are you in here?
No, I think he's in the kitchen. He's definitely in the kitchen.
Tim Martinez, are you in the kitchen?
Wherefore art thou, Timmy?
Could you give us a sign?
Wherefore art this beach?
Wherefore art this dick?
Tim Martinez?
Tim, how do you feel about this? Wah!
Tim, how do you feel
Wow.
about the economy?
Wah! Raw. Ooh, wah.
What are you doing?
I'm pissing him off.
Tim Martinez.
Run.
No!
Murder victim.
Nora! Tim Martinez, do you have hands?
Hemorrhoids.
What?
Oh, I threw your laptop. What you gonna do?
I have hemorrhoids.
I'm gonna make this a summoning circle with
Hello?
his laptop in the middle.
Hello? Tim Martinez, Tim Martinez, Tim Martinez. Okay, I give up on this thing. It's so annoying.
Welcome to my summoning circle.
Something's telling me we got something wrong here.
What, me and my summoning circle?
Jesus.
Take the wheel, take it from me.
Okay, now we gotta hold hands, move in a circle, and call out his
Which
name.
way? Which direction?
This way. Yeah, and we gotta say whatever
Counterclockwise.
comes to mind.
Tim Martinez,
Baloney.
Tim Martinez, Tim Martinez.
Humana, humana, humana,
Chad-
humana,
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 humana, humana,
Provolone.
humana, 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 humana.
Mammoths.
Sour Jack,
Your mom!
cheddar cream.
Kylie Jenner.
Mama y papa.
Mama y Papa.
Mama y papa.
P for papas.
It's a papa's party. P
Be
for papa.
aggressive.
It's a
Be
papa's party.
aggressive.
P-E-A-G-G-R-E-S-S-I-V-E.
I don't know how to spell.
I don't know how to spell. Don't even go here.
I don't
He
even
doesn't.
go here.
I'm a Barbie girl. in
She
a
doesn't even
Barbie
go
world.
here.
I want to to poop here.
I'm gonna take a nap. Good night.
Good night. My poop is coming.
Hurricane Katrina. More like Hurricane
More like Hurricane
Tortilla.
Tortilla.
Sydney,
What is he
that a
doing?
weed? I'm calling the police.
I don't know, was your emergency? Two bros sitting in a hot
Bloody
tub,
Mary,
5
horror,
feet apart,
scared,
'cause they're not
frightened.
gay.
Road work ahead.
Hi,
Yeah,
I'm scared.
I sure
Are you a
hope
child?
it does.
Are you a child? What is your gender?
Whoa!
When were you born?
Invasive question.
Bye-bye.
Get the fuck back here! How young are you? Who is this? Who are we talking to? Who am I talking to?
How
What is your
many
name?
years
Can you
young
give
are
me
you?
your name?
¿Cuántos años tienes?
Who are you? What are you? Anybody in the room? Anybody here? Is there a spirit here?
Mi cumpleaños aquí. Mi cumpleaños
Show yourself, give us a sign. Show
aquí.
yourself, give us a sign. Show yourself, give us a sign.
I'm gonna paint the town red.
Guys, have we taken into account the ghost might be shy?
Bye bye.
That sounds like a ghost issue.
I'm gonna paint the van.
OMG.
I'm gonna paint it.
Hey guys, what's up?
Whoa, how'd your insanity go down that far?
Oh, whoa!
What?
You were doing something, Finn.
It was because I was asking him all the questions.
What are we doing? What's happening?
Well,
what did
we're
we just
catching
we
a
find?
tried to
ghost.
summon the ghost
Oh.
with a summoning circle, and that didn't
Oh.
work. So then I started saying whatever Spanish came to mind,
Mm-hmm.
and then Finn gave us the brilliant idea, what if the ghost is shy? So me and Finn dipped out.
And we're gonna go put a camera in there.
We're gonna go
Okay.
put a catheter in.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Katrina.
So do you guys know what room it is?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's been zero activity in the kitchen, so I feel like it isn't the kitchen.
What did you guys do?
This is the summoning circle.
You know, you could have just asked the paw.
No. The summoning circle makes more
Yes.
sense.
Nuh-uh.
So which one?
Listen, you're asking, two high people, someone who's drank alcohol.
I'm
To do
cross-faded.
things
I've
logically?
been drinking.
Ow!
I should ask the paw.
Doesn't it start a hunt or whatever?
Oh, Senor Pa,
Sometimes.
what would you like?
Wait, do not ask anything ever.
Why not?
Hold on. I can't
I'm
spell.
caressing it.
Guys, I got a pronoun check in chat. What are everybody's pronouns? Accurate.
Scream.
Almost said she something, and I was like, what? No,
Wait a
that's,
damn
they're
minute.
not mine.
They're not mine.
He, they, it. I go crazy. I go silly.
They, he, it.
They, he.
Huh?
Oh, what are your
Anything but she, her at this point. I don't care.
You sound more
About
gone
me
than we
today.
do. Whoa.
Oh, you can call me late to dinner.
Up. Hi, Zach.
Doesn't mean I'll eat it. What?
Up. Whap. Wet ass pussy. Make that fucking weak.
You messed up these poor people's house.
I did a summoning circle. Thank you very much. You are demeaning my work and I don't appreciate it.
This is why we don't get hired.
This is why mom doesn't fucking love you.
That's
Guys.
why
You can't ask the monkey's paw where the ghost is.
No, but we can
can't
follow
what?
it from the hunt if it appears physically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I would rather die.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're summoning it. So we could possibly die.
Guys, where the
What
fuck
part of
did
this
the
do you not
PD
understand?
mic go?
They're on
Several
the-
things.
Wait, it was in here? Stop
Maybe it's
dying!
this room.
No, the mold. It's getting to me.
There is no mold.
Exactly.
You're just bad shit.
No, I'm delusional.
So true.
There's
You're
so much
both.
mold. There's mold everywhere. The mold.
Oh god. Oh god.
Me when the mold. Me when.
Me when the mold.
That sounds like such.
I want that as a new meme template. Me when the mold.
Me. August, you've been.
What'd I do?
Coming out.
Coming out? Congrats!
Foggy Woggy, I think I'm losing my mind.
Probably.
Probably.
Probably. I think it's concerning that the silly, goofy behavior has hit just now.
So true.
I snotted.
You snotted? Snotted?
What about that? Don't you understand? I snotted. Oh, who cleaned up my mess?
8 did.
Yeah. I need organization.
Organization.
I'll go insane.
Organization.
Organize these nuts.
No. I will organize my. You motherfucker! You motherfucker! I'm doing the dishes. I quit. I quit. I'm doing the dishes. I'm doing the dishes. I'm so pissed. I'm doing the dishes.
Do those dishes. Think about what you've done.
Oh my goodness!
Guys, I don't know about you, but the ghost is in the fucking basement.
What?
Dude, I'll
Man, that's
frick
unfortunate
ghost.
because I hate the basement.
If you look at the spray can and then this door.
What, was it completely open before?
No, it was like this.
Oh.
And then I watched it open in front of me. So,
Girl.
I think it's in the hallway because this,
Whoa!
can was-
Oh, it's freezing right here. It's freezing in here.
Oh! Freeze!
Guys, we found the actual spot.
Okay.
Wait. Oh, those are pliers. I was like, there's another bone?
No,
There might be. You don't know.
your mom! Suck my balls!
Down here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in here.
It's a-
She followed me!
I saw her!
Yo no quiero Taco Bell.
Good stuff.
I got the book.
I have a camera.
I got Barbara. Are you alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's the parabolic on the floor then?
That's
No
me.
reason not to
I threw
laugh,
that
honestly.
to the ground.
Oh, it's okay.
I put the book.
Anyone know what specific room?
Yeah,
Which one?
the one I'm in.
That makes so much sense.
This room?
Yep.
No. Fucker.
We're alive.
You don't
Oh.
just tell me to turn around,
Ghostwriting?
dickwad.
What do we got?
No.
EMF?
No.
Oh,
It's only gone to 4.
writing.
Which-
He's
We have
scribbling.
freezing
Look at him. He's
temps.
drawing a picture of a stick figure doing a
Yeah.
backbend.
Frustrating.
Nice.
Oh.
Okay, so I
honestly.
do not think
Oh, that's a solid too. That's nice.
it's EMF. Yeah, because before it was EMF 4
Mhm.
Ooh,
while he
freezing
was
temps?
Yeah.
Yeah.
freaking around. Yep.
Yuck.
I can't believe I just said the word frick. What the hell is wrong?
Frick,
with
frack,
My bad.
paddywhack, give a dog a bone, Richard.
me? Mr. Garrison.
Alright, I'm gonna look just one more time for.
No, it's a
for
ghost, not a
fingerprints.
skeleton, silly.
I'm gonna sob. I don't know what brought that on. Jesus. Okay, I'm not seeing anything, so I don't think it's fingerprints. Free fall in love and... Whoa. Free fall in love and yeah.
Really nice drawings. I thought you were kidding.
It's literally a man with a backbend.
I like that.
And the other one has eyes.
Mm,
They're very, very light. You see them?
yeah.
Yeah. And there's
like
this,
fancy
and then
pants.
there's the like classic childhood sun in the corner. Oh, do we still not have a motion sensor?
I thought we got one.
I thought we did too. Because that's one of our objectives that we gotta do. Oh yeah, this is it.
Did we get a motion sensor?
I think this is
Yeah.
it. I gotta go put it.
But we did get Christ.
I gotta go put it down. I'll put it down, you fall in love. I'll put it down, you fall in love. If you put it down right, like the way I want it, play your cards right, maybe we can fall in love. If you put it down right, like the way I want it, play your cards right, maybe we can fall in love. I don't know how to use this. How do I use this? Oh. I hope it's on. I'd be a little upset. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't like that I'm here alone. Hello? Hello?
No. Wait, what is his name?
Tim Martinez.
Bestie?
Timmy Tim Tim. Tim the Toolman Taylor. Did he say anything?
Hey, bestie. Oh,
Oh,
cross.
he didn't like that crucifix.
Hey, bestie. Anyone there? Hello? Anyone? Tim?
Tip?
Anyone?
I can hear a door.
Oh, I got spirit box.
It's a Maroy.
I got spirit box.
It's a Maroy, kids. His name is actually Roy. Roy. It's like M'Baku, but Roy.
Wow. See how it is.
I took drugs to become more sane.
Like a dog on the floor.
I'm sorry for,
I like to think we're funny.
begging for the things that I want. I'm oversleeping like a dog on the floor.
We're leaving now?
It just tossed the fucking spirit book. It went, fuck ya book.
Fuck your life.
Bing bang.
One brain cell. That's all that's necessary. The McDonald's Cup. As featured in Space Jam, Fallen Angels, You Be Illin by Run DMC, The Office, Coming to America, Seinfeld, The Boyfriend. Brief answers to the big questions by Stephen Hawking. Como Cuando y Donde by Awkward. Check Day India. The Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Loki Season 2.
What?
Half of those words weren't English.
They were.
Correct.
I was reading all of the things that the McDonald's Cup says it was featured in.
Oh.
It's been in Space Jam, Fallen Angels, You Be Illin by Run DMC, The Office, Coming to America,
Yay.
Seinfeld, The Boyfriend, I'm assuming the Boyfriend episode, Brief Answers to the Big Questions by Stephen Hawking, Como Cuando y Donde by Awkward, Chalk Day India, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, and Loki Season 2. Whoa!
True. Bing bong.
Bing bong. Okay.
I have demons.
Same.
I bought a couple more lighters, 2 more smudge sticks,
OMG.
and I'm making a candle. Okay. We have everything else we need. I just want to make sure we had extra of a couple things just in case we get Sunny Meadows. Ready up, 8 stiffer.
What?
Patrick.
Okay.
Oh, farmhouse. Part of me wanted Sunny Meadows.
Yeah, math. Smudge.
This is Jay Norris. We need EMF, smudge sticks, and ghost event.
By the river and down the whole world. Where she looks so sad in photographs.
I see the sun looks out down on my tired city, nothing on my face.
balls in your jaws. Oh my god, we got the tarot cards.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But don't-
cool. I'm not gonna use it. No, no.
August.
I just
Don't
want to
use
look at it.
Okay, I was actually looking at the
all the
thing for the tarot
faces.
cards.
Are you okay?
Look at all the faces on the tarot cards.
I thought that was an iPhone.
Hello.
That's what I thought
No,
at first.
Let me look at them.
Why is the light off?
Go get the bone.
Where are you?
Ooh.
Bone?
Bone.
kinda-
Bone? Where's bone?
Guys,
Bone!
Jaw.
guys, I have the homosexual urge to draw tarot cards.
You
should.
Do I? Do I?
I got hoes calling.
Are you here? What was that? What did you just call me? Did it just call me a whore? Fuck you, bitch! Mind your fucking business, asswipe! Yeah, come at me, bitch! Asshole! Calling me a fucking whore at
Is it out here?
Oh my god.
I think I
I'm literally 17.
Did it actually call you a whore?
I think so!
I heard.
I heard whore. I heard whore, and I felt insulted. Look, there's a select few people who is okay with calling me a whore, and
And
this
it's
ghost,
me.
fucking, what's your name? Jay Norris, bitch ass, is not one of those people. Do not call me a whore. Are you a bit of an asshole? Are you an asshole, Jay? Come on. Unresponsive cunt.
Yeah.
Don't yum me.
He's trying to backpedal and say you're yummy.
I guess. Maybe he was trying to compliment me. Jesus. What a nonce.
What a dick.
guys.
I hope you're
okay.
bald, Jay. Fuck you.
So true.
I don't want to communicate with that hoe.
Wow, it threw something at you.
Wasn't that you?
The silence!
Are you trying to prank us? Are you trying to prank us right now? Are you trolling us?
No.
That
a
moment when you
troll?
get caught,
Is this a
so
prank
you just go silent.
Is this a prank channel?
No, I actually didn't. I didn't.
I doubt you. I doubt you heavily.
It's
hope they call
always
you a
playing
whore
through the
now.
door. Play through the door.
Guys, I really want to draw this tarot card.
Do it.
You should.
And let me get this.
It's a poltergeist, a phantom, or the mimic.
Wait, what do you mean by that? What do we have otherwise?
Spirit box.
Spirit box.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How
That's
else?
crazy.
How else was 8 called a whore?
Hi, listen.
Hello.
Oh God, no. Oh,
Who is
God.
it?
No.
Telemarketers. Yeah, sorry, I gotta
Shut
go.
my balls.
Is your refrigerator running?
And you better go catch it.
Is your
You better go
refrigerator?
fuck yourself.
guys, is your refrigerator running, or are you just happy to see me?
I am separating us. It looks like a little spray can. Look at it.
No.
Are you what? In who?
The dots projector looks like a little spray can. So I'm making the spray noise.
Oh my god. August, I really wanna draw the tarot card, but I'm also in fear constantly.
Where should I put this?
Probably
Here?
close to the door.
Nope. Nope. There we go.
I
Yeah, I kept pressing directly in between the keys by accident. So it was like registering G before F.
Come on, man.
Oh, that's it.
Ooh.
That was it. That was it. We got some dots. It's a
Stop
phantom.
blocking the chair, you twat. Bitch.
Wait, it's
I'll rock
we
you.
got what?
We got dots.
Yeah.
Phantom.
Bangabum.
Wait, did it say to smudge the area or
Yeah.
stop it? Okay.
We got that one. We need find evidence of the paranormal with EMF meter, which we can't do.
Why? We didn't
Why?
buy an EMF?
I meant like we can't get it and also cross off the ghost. My brain just didn't connect the dots and say it.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
It'd be a rice.
No we can't.
No, trust.
No,
you
we
can.
can't. We have spare box. We can put the top of the goo.
It's not the EMF evidence isn't always EMF 5. It can be EMF anything.
I don't think you understood what I said.
Blah, 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 blah. Kiss my ass.
No. That seems unsanitary.
Yuck.
Well, what if I told you kiss my ass?
No.
Hear that, Jay?
Oh,
Fuck you.
No. No.
Whatever, you fucking punk.
Do you have
Guys,
EMF out?
no,
You go.
Don't
but I
care.
can.
You gotta whip it out. It's our last objective. Oh. That was aggressive.
Yeah, bitch.
Oh.
I'm just better at dodging, bitch.
It happened again. It happened again. Now get the EMF reader out if you didn't already, so we can get it crossed off. Oh, we got it. Okay, we're good. Let's get out of here. Oh wait, did we take a photo?
Probably should.
Wait, we need photo. There's a camera. Is the camera in here?
Shouldn't you grab a camera so you can get a balls photo?
Yeah, I was trying to look for 8's or Levi's camera. What is that?
There's only 2 cameras. And both in here.
Oh, I didn't realize that Levi
Hi,
didn't
Levi.
have it. Hi, Levi.
I just really want to bring the tarot cards with me.
Wait. Did we get a photo of the tarot cards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, I got the moon, which instantly drops the individual player's sanity to 0.
Wait.
Also, there's a card that you can get, and it's the High Priestess, and it revives a randomly chosen dead player.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It started a hunt just as we left.
Give hug.
Welcome back. I've prepared some jobs for you.
How we all feeling?
I'm feeling good.
And I'm feeling
Oh!
It's just my luck.
Guys,
Yeah.
What's up?
I don't know about you, but I could have drawn multiple times.
Correct.
Aw. I didn't know that.
I don't know about you.
Oh my gosh, I am
feeling
seeing
22.
Gorbs. I'm kidding. It's just
Gorbs.
dust.
I love Gorbs.
Oh, Gorbs.
I don't like Levi whispering in my ear. Gorbs.
Gorbs.
No! 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 No!
I see some
No! No!
Gorbs.
No!
I don't like the ASMR.
No! I can't escape. The room isn't big enough.
I like it, but it's very specific. Stop! I'll kill myself. I will do it, and it'll be your fault.
Stop it!
Oh!
I'm gonna go Senor Loco.
Are you even gorbing right now?
Ready up, please.
Are you guys gorbing at the
You and
moment?
Gorbers.
You guys gorbing or just me?
Torture. No more alcohol.
I'm gorbing right now. Anyone else gorbing?
I'm a
I'm so
Gorbmeister.
gorbing.
Anyone
Gorbin
gorbing?
time.
It's
I'm
Gorbin
Gorbin.
time.
Crucifix below.
Yippee!
Hello?
Hello, anyone here? I'm here to investigate. the
Hello,
quote,
Mr.
unquote,
Postman?
paranormal.
Wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
I
Hey,
am
hey,
quote,
hey,
unquote,
hey, Mr.
paranormal
Postman.
activities. Is this true? Are there any goblins, ghosts, and ghouls in this?
Or maybe perhaps girlies?
What the fuck?
Goblins, ghosts.
So where we working? Where we working?
Literally anywhere.
Widowy, hit the gwitty. Right now.
Where do we
I
grittying
would
in the
literally
garage
not
in
hit the gritty for
Phasmophobia?
anyone.
Widowy on the ground. No bonies.
Excuse?
You're excused.
Hey, bitch, where you at?
Hello?
Where the fuck I'm at?
Hello?
Can you hear me? Am I breaking
Am
up?
I breaking up?
I can't hear you. Are you breaking up? Get over here. Let's party. I just want to party. Grab my purse, get a ride, and I'll meet
Where
you
are you?
outside.
Are you up here? Are you in this room? Can you talk to me? I miss
Yeah,
you. I
Tell
love
me a
you.
story.
I love you. Please come back. Please come back. I miss you.
Oh, someone's been down here. Wow, it feels like just yesterday I was in this room. 'Cause I was. 2 games ago. I got the bone.
Honestly,
What?
I crave for my EMF reader.
I crave for the EMF reader.
You crave it?
Yeah, please.
I don't have
Can I
it.
have? Wow, who has my EMF?
Why'd you think I had it? I have the camera. And you
I sure
didn't.
do
Do you
wish the
have my
ghost would do
EMF?
something.
No.
I sure wish
you
the
have
ghost
my
would
amp?
suck my butt.
Why would I have an imp?
What fuck.
Amphetamine, maybe.
Up. I got the bone, by the way.
Wait, you got a bone? Where a bone?
It was in the basement. I
Who
took a
threw the
cold
knife
bone.
on the floor?
And I put it on the
No one.
ground. What?
Which one of you did that?
I didn't
I
do
think that was the ghost this time.
it.
I doubt it.
Ghost,
That
stop.
was the ghost.
That's you.
Oh man, not the ghost.
Whoa. Wow.
Where art thou?
Where art thou, ghosty woasty?
That's too small.
Doesn't matter. It goes the wrong way. It's for. Yep. Never mind. I know anyone who has this stuff.
No.
Whoa.
Sorry, my demons.
Same.
Nice. What are you doing?
Who? I don't know if it's in the kitchen.
I think I might be wrong again.
I don't know where it could be though.
Could be in the basement again.
Wouldn't that be a gag?
Wouldn't that be a gas?
Hey, dude, where you at? I don't know where the fuck I'm at.
Oh.
I can't see. Are you breaking up yet? Over here, let's party. I just want to party.
The light in here flickered and it's colder than
Get a
everywhere else.
ride.
Not freezing, but cold.
Colder.
Alright, Ghost. Let's play hot or cold. Am I hot or am I cold?
Fucking dies.
I don't know that he knows how to play this game.
You
Or
just
son.
whispered in my ear.
Yeah.
Mom, whisper in your ear.
He's down.
So it's probably in here. Probably. Wow.
Oh.
Okay, it's not freezing, but it's gotten close.
It's back in this room.
We think so. What should we do with a pretty liar? What should we do when the sun looks so pretty in the morning? Well, I guess I didn't need to come in here. Actually. Hello? Yeah, piggy eater posse. Let's go. Who just meowed?
You're in the room with us, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's Dots and EMF 5.
Are you in the room with us? us. How are
Wait.
you?
Bad. Do you have
Fingers? Do you get it?
yeah, give me fingies, give me fingies, give me
I
fingies.
do. Alright. Dude, don't threaten it.
I'ma fuck your mom if you don't show up.
That's a child. You're speaking to a child like that.
Okay.
And
Should I not be telling the child I'm gonna fuck his mom? Because that's truthful. And I shouldn't be lying to him.
Sorry, I'm delusional. Don't mind me.
Delulu. Dude, my new chair is supposed to be coming Friday. I'm so excited. It was supposed to be coming next Wednesday, but then it got bumped up. Please show your face so I can repel you.
Hey, pussy boy. You did not like that.
Tatiana said no.
Oh,
Tatiana. Tatiana, I'm scared. You're scaring me. I'm afraid. I'm gonna go hide. I'm hiding. You're scary.
I'm gonna say a no
You guys turn off the lights in that
on
room?
the freezing freezies.
Thanks. Wait, no, they were off. Hater. You motherfucker, I'm trying to see Gorbs.
Gorbs.
Gorbs?
You're Gorbus.
Does he have Gorbs?
He's very Gorbus to me.
Does he have Gorbs?
Why are you following me and asking? I don't know.
So it's between Pinky's Gorb and Spirit Bot.
Goes.
Where'd I put it? Oh,
scampering.
why are you just out of 5?
There's a
Bro,
little
what's the problem?
Making music.
Girl, what is your major malfunction?
Girl, what is that? Oh. We're okay.
Wait,
Did you tell it to leave?
No. It must have just been like ghost activity instead of a hunt.
Yeah, but that fucking scared me.
I'm fucking scared. Did you get her that time?
no, I don't think so.
Oh, we've got a couple of the dots ghost.
What? Yeah. Wraith, Raichu, and Gorgo.
Why is my bone fit photo a 2? My bones are beautiful.
Yeah, that's offensive. What the hell?
What the fuck?
Dots Ghost 3 stars. You
Dots
cannot
Ghost
see
2
it in that photo.
Oh my gosh, in the 2-star dots ghost photo, you can't really see the top half, so it just looks like some fucking weird creature
Wait, where do you
climbing
see
across.
Oh, photos? Ah, I see.
Are you in the room with us? Are you here with us?
Tell me yes.
Are you in the room with us?
Oh!
Done.
It's a wraith. Shadow! Leave it
Wait, what
alone!
was that? That was Spirit Box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shadow! Get down! You asshole. They're giving me shouting. Stop messing with that. You're gonna fall! I'm okay. I'm back. With a cat.
OMG, I see him. I love him in a way that nobody else does.
He's very interested in my water. Dude, he's such a little trash panda. He was trying to get in the garbo. Can you lay down, please? Yes, I love you too. Can you lay down? Yeah, I love you. Uh-huh, I know. Thank you. Okay. So we still need to get average sanity below 25, and I have to repel the ghost.
I think we're on our way for that.
Yeah.
Wait, what does the guy do?
What?
What does he do?
What do you mean, what does he do?
Oh, we can walk through walls. Balls!
I'm gonna turn this off because I think they haunt more in the dark. Tatiana. Tatiana. Tati.
I'm
Tatiana.
starting to go Iggy.
I'm scared. You're scary. Where's the ghost? I wonder if we'll see the ghost. I'm hiding.
Hold on.
Where's the ghost? I saw the ghost.
Hello, give us a sign. Show yourself. Give us a sign. Show yourself. Give us a sign. Show yourself. Give us a sign.
How old are you? What's your name? Where are you? How old are you? Show yourself.
We have one more.
Hello. What do you mean one more?
Until the crucifix burns out. That crucifix burning was only a 2?
Thank you, Harley Davidson, for the follow. Very much appreciated. Welcome to the crew.
Look, he just keeps tossing these pliers over to me. They were like over here before and then went wow.
The ghost is like, listen, I need some things that need fixing. You're gonna get right on it.
No, I told him to give us a sign.
Give us
And
a
he
sign.
did.
Show yourself.
Show yourself, give us a sign.
What's your
sign.
name?
Show yourself, give us a sign.
How
Show
old are you?
yourself, give us a sign. What do you want?
Hello.
Why are you? Oh, what do you want? Why are you here? What do you want? Why are you here?
Rest in peace, August.
I can't pick things up or put them down. What the fuck? Guys, get a photo of my body.
I'll go insane.
Get a photo of my body. I need the insurance money. Where are you going? That's not where you go. Where are you going? Oh, the box. What are they doing? Jump. Jump. Please get a photo of my body. I would really appreciate it if you got one. Please. Where'd you go? 8. What is going on in that head of yours? Guys, please, my body. Guys, my body. Please.
Awesome.
Guys, my body, please.
Goodbye.
No, my body, guys.
Do you have a wraith? Do you have wraith checked off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This might be our last game. I have to see. This Finn was saying that they're tired. Or getting tired, so.
Welcome back.
Guys, my body.
What? We didn't want taxes.
My body.
I don't know.
How are we feeling? Do we want to keep going?
I'm tired.
Same.
Done for the night?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think so.
Thanks for playing, guys.
Mm-hmm.